All right, everyone, I'm calling this meeting to order at 4:42 p.m. Before we begin, I'd like to do a territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located in the traditional, unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. Next, we'll move on to roll call of attendance. I'll call on you by your roll, and please give us your name, pronouns, and access needs. We'll start with the archaeology counselor.
Hi, my name is Saniha, pronouns they, she, and no access needs aside from my internet might be a little poor here and there.
Awesome, thank you. And next we have Bachelor of Environment Student Union.
Hi guys, my name's Tiana, she, her pronouns, all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiana. And next we have Behavioral Neuroscience. Don't see Arthi here today. Biology. Do we have Nick? We do not. BPK. BPK, are you here?
Hi, my name is Gurleen. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you very much, Gurleen. Next, we have chemistry. Are you here? We have chemistry. Anna? I don't see them. Next, we have cognitive science. In the chat, hi everyone, my name is Aaron. He, they pronouns, access needs using the chat, and we'll have to leave at the latest 7 p.m. due to family matters. Well, thank you for making it out, Aaron. Next, we have computing science. I don't know if someone tried to speak there. I heard little specks. Dial-up sounds. Yeah, I'm gonna guess call-in user 2 is Sharik. Are you able to confirm that call-in user 2?
Call-in user 2 is Peter, according to chat.
What?
No. It's
call-in user 2 spoke.
Oh, okay, sorry.
okay. We'll come back to computing science. Krim. We have Ava here. Not. Earth science. We have Eden. In the chat, hi alls, my name is Eden, he, him, his, all access needs met, variable/choppy Wi-Fi. Noted, thank you, Eden. Next we have economics.
Hi everyone, I'm Raf Rahman. My pronouns are he and him, and all my access needs are met today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rafid. Do we have education? In the chat, hi all, my name is Christine, she, her, and all my access needs are met. Thank you very much, Christine. We have the incoming president, as well as the Engineering Student Society. Liam, are you here? Don't see him. All right, next we have environmental science.
Hi, everyone. I'm Grayson Bark, he, him pronouns, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, Grayson. We have regrets from our film counselor and from our gender studies counselor. Geography. In the chat, hi, I'm Natasha, she, they pronouns. All of my access needs are met. Thank you very much, Natasha. Next we have, we have a bit of an error on our attendance here. I'll fix that after. But we have our health science student union. Veronica, are you here?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, you're calling user 2. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I wasn't sure. I can't see one of our participant ideas, but yeah, hi everyone, my name is Karinka, my pronouns are she, her. I am dialing in right now, I'm just driving home, but once I get home, I'll switch to my laptop.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that solves the mystery. Perfect. And This will be amended in the minutes, but the GASU counselor is now the history student union counselor. So history, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Emilio da Silva. All my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilio. We next have Ayatsu, who I don't think is here. Nope. Oh, let me check, just in case. Yep, nope. And then we have mechatronics, are you here? So I don't think he is. And then we have philosophy.
Hey everyone, my name is Ashley, they, she, V pronouns, and all my accessibility needs are met for today.
Thank you, Ashley. Next we have the political science student union. I don't see Bryden here. Next we have psychology. We have Mark. Oh, I think he might have lagged out. Oh, he's here.
Mark is no longer in the room. He was earlier though.
Yeah, I thought so. I think he lagged out. We'll come back potentially for him. Next, we have our incoming VP events, also known as currently the SUS rep.
Hey guys, my name is Aya, pronouns he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Io. Then we have our SAS counselor. In the chat. Hi, Hillary here, she, her. Crappy Mike will be chatting today. Oh, and the Hillary and Mark will have to leave at 8:30 today. Noted. Thank you, Hillary. Next, we have our SASU counselor.
Hi everyone, my name is Arthur, pronoun he and him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Arthur. Sasa probably isn't here. Let's check. Nope. Then we have C's.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Nath. My pronouns are he and him, and today I am not in Vancouver, so it's a bit awkward for me to be here. So I'm going to try to leave early so I can spend some more time with the family I've come to visit.
Very understandable. Thank you for being here, Andrew. Theater probably isn't here. Let's double check. Nope. So I'm just going to go back to a couple that we missed. We have biology here. Hey everyone, I'm the bio rep. My name is Nick. My pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs are met. Thank you, Nick. And then Mark, if you want to do an intro as well, I see you're back.
Oh, hi. Yeah, my name's Mark, he, him, the psychology counselor. I'm also not in Canada, but I will try and stay as long as I can. So
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, that's it for our student union representatives. We're going to move on to our constituency group representatives. Do we have DNA? Alexandra here.
Oh, hi. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear that you were calling for DNA. Yeah. Hi. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. And then we have F and Misa in the chat. Hi, my name is Sienna. My pronouns are she, her. Access needs will be using the chat and will be in and out as I am transiting home at the moment. Awesome. Thank you. And then we have our SOCA counselor. Hey everyone, SOCA counselor here. I'm going to be away from the mic because I'm transiting. Pronouns she, her, access needs are met. Thank you, Amina. All right, I think that's it for CG. So we're going to move on to affiliated student groups. I believe first is RHA.
Hey everyone, my name is Emmanuel. Pronouns EM is, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Next we have Saxon over here. Do we have TSSU? In the chat, hi everyone, my name is Paranjali, she, her pronouns. All my access needs are met, except Wi-Fi might be choppy on my way home to around 5:30. Okay, thank you, Paranjali. All right, next we have the executive committee. We'll start with acting president. Hi everyone, my name is Abby, he, him pronouns. All my access needs are met. Next, we'll move on to the acting VP internal and organizational development.
Hi, my name's Peter, he, him, his pronouns, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Peter. Next, we have the acting VP Finance and Services.
Hi, my name is Rasko, he, him pronouns, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Next, we have the acting VP University and Academic Affairs.
Hi, my name is Chloe, pronouns they, she, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Chloe. Next, we have the VP External and Community Affairs.
Hi everyone, my name is Ishana, she, her pronouns, all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Ishana. Next, we have the VP Equity and Sustainability.
Hi everyone, my name is Songyan, she, her pronouns, all my access needs are met.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, we have our VP Events and Student Affairs.
Hello everyone, my name is Webber, pronouns he, him, his, and access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, V. All right, last but not least, also we have the students, the society staff, pardon me. We have our board organizer.
Hi everyone, this is Ella, pronouns she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our facilities manager, who I don't think is here. Yes, we have our temporary operations organizer.
Hey all, Sindhu here, pronouns she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. And then I believe we have our admin assistant. In the chat, hi everyone, my name is Danielle. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met. Thank you, Danielle. Alrighty, everyone, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda reads, be it resolved to adopt the consent agenda by unanimous consent. At the moment, all we have in there is matters arising from the minutes, and these include the accessibility minutes from the 12th of December, council minutes from the 9th of November, the 12th of October, the 26th of October, and the 25th of January. We have ECA minutes from the 5th of December and 20th of January. We have, I believe this is events minutes from the 31st of January, and we have SPOC minutes from the 24th of January. I am also going to propose an addition to the consent agenda. And it's going to be ratification of regrets. And it's going to read as follows. Be resolved to ratify regrets for gender studies counselor Simon Basra and film counselor Sophie Fazio for the February 22nd meeting of council. If everyone's okay with that, we'll add that into the consent agenda. Is there any objections to that? I'm not seeing any. So we'll go back to the consent agenda. With that added to it, is there any objections to the consent agenda? I'm going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. All right. Sorry, my agenda here is being a bit funny. The next motion reads, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. I will move. Can I get a seconder?
VP Finance.
VP Finance seconds. Is there any discussion? I see it as discussion. Roscoe, please go ahead.
Hi, so I have a few motions to add. Is it okay I move them as a batch?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm just going to be pasting these motions and so do you want me to read these out?
If you want, or I can read them.
Yeah, I'll read them out to save you from talking more. So the first motion, it's titled Society Credit Card Limit Increase, and it reads as follows. Whereas the society maintains its own credit card at Scotiabank in order to make internal purchases, whereas the current limit of the card is set at $25,000. Whereas the SFSS credit card has seen high utilization in recent months and recently exceeded the credit limit. Whereas the credit card limit has been reached or exceeded, the card may not be used anymore until the balance has been paid off. Whereas the credit card balance takes several days to be paid off, preventing more charges from taking place. Whereas the society finance staff have recommended that the credit card limit be increased to $50,000 in order to keep up with demand. Whereas council can approve motions related to credit card limit increases. Be it resolved that council approve a credit card limit increase to the society credit card at Scotiabank for $50,000. So that's the first motion. The second motion, I'm going to paste in there. Sorry, this is a lot. Let me see if Zoom will work. So motion number 2, it is titled SFSS and SFU Esports Association Memorandum of Understanding. Whereas an agreement between the SFSS and SFU Esports Association regarding the gaming lounge in the Student Union building has been in the works since at least 2018. Whereas the SFSS Board of Directors / Council has authorized the signing of a previous memorandum of understanding. Whereas the SFSS has entered into a sponsorship agreement with Memory Express in regards to equipment in the gaming lounge. Whereas the Memory Express agreement has started February 1st. Whereas the acting Vice President of Finance and Services has been working with society staff and SFU Esports Association on the opening of the gaming lounge space in the sub 2400. Be it resolved that Council approve the signing of a new memorandum of understanding attached between the Society and SFU Esports Association. Be it further resolved that Council approve on opening of the gaming lounge effective immediately and that the communications department begin marketing the space to membership. I'm also going to attach the MOU. It's a PDF document related to this motion. So I have sent that to everyone, and I have more. So my next item, I apologize, there's a lot. It is a discussion item. I'm gonna copy and paste it here. In-camera discussion, concerns regarding council corporate invoices and event merchandise partners. And then I have a motion that is somewhat related to this. I'm gonna paste it here. So the motion is titled Financial Transparency and Large Invoice Disclosure. Wait, someone has. Whereas Council has affirmed support of a financial transparency motion in the previous session, whereas the financial transparency policy is still in development, whereas the situation has arisen regarding membership requesting more transparency in regards to large volume single vendor transactions. Whereas Council has reviewed the financial transparency concerns in camera, be it resolved Council approve a release of all invoices and check requisitions over $20,000 in value that were approved by Council or its committees payable to single vendors from 1st of May 2022 onwards until a financial transparency policy is ratified at Council. Be it further resolved that all disclosures remove personally identifiable information as defined by the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Be it further resolved that no payroll information is disclosed and that the disclosure is limited in scope and only to transactions approved by Council or its committees and linked to the motion that approved such spending. Be it further resolved that the disclosures be disclosed in PDF format uploaded onto a new section of the Society website titled Large Volume Transaction in Transparency Disclosures. And my final discussion item, I'm going to paste it in, trying my best to be fast with this. Motion, file hosting privacy changes. Well, whereas the Society currently uses Google G Suite for the majority of Society document sharing, whereas there are concerns regarding data privacy and security when using offshore groupware services such as Google G Suite. Be it resolved, the Council tasked the Executive Committee and excluded management on developing a migration path away from Google G Suite onto SFU locally hosted data storage solutions for sensitive information such as defined by the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Anyways, thank you for that. Sorry, Council, for the batch of motions. I would request that the chair, if possible, put the SFSS and SFU Esports Association MOU signing onto the top of the agenda, just because I believe there's a lot of membership that is interested in this in our meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay, so just to summarize, we have those motions that Roscoe's read out. I believe he has also asked that the esports motion be placed at the top of new business. Is that okay, Roscoe?
Yes, that is okay.
And you want to move these as a batch, yes?
Yes, that is correct.
So Roscoe moves this batch. Do we have a seconder?
Psychology.
Psychology seconds. Is there any discussion on this batch of amendments? Ishana listed, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, just a question. Will it be like at the very top of the list, like before the motion that I put? Or will it be after the motion I put?
Roscoe, you can directly respond to that if you like.
So at the top of that motion.
Ishana, go ahead.
Oh, may I just ask why? Like, I really, like, it doesn't really matter, but how long will that motion take?
So I don't think it'll take a lot. It just that a lot of membership that is interested in this agreement, my motion, is in the call right now. So I just don't want to keep them waiting right on this.
Thank you, Roscoe. Alexandra, you
I also will be listing again after to for something else, just so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can throw that list in there now, Roscoe. I'll keep that in mind. Alexandra, please go ahead.
I don't see why we have to move that on the top of the list, and I would I strongly believe that we should keep the original order in place.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wanted to? I'm going to ask if you're specifically listing on this. Emilia, you're listing on this, yes?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that we have to be cognizant of everybody's time with regards to the fact it's reading break. A lot of us have assignments and things. And if there are members of the membership who aren't members of council, or maybe people who are, we should respect their time and put it first. I do support Rasco on this. So I don't see why the other thing takes precedent unless there's some special reason. And I'd like to have an explanation from either Shauna or Alexandra. Don't know why you want this first, but Rasco has given us a very good reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexandra, you're on the list. After Alexandra, you go. Ishana, if you want to respond to that directly after Alex goes, you can feel free.
I think that all of these arguments that you just said for Roscoe's motions to go first could be said for Ishana's motion. So I would just say we keep order as it is, just to be, you know, fair.
Hey, Alexandra, Ishana, do you want to directly respond? You're good? Okay. I'm gonna take this to a vote and I'm gonna seek unanimous consent on this. If I see a number of hands, we'll take this to a roll call vote. But for now, given that there is some dissent, we're just gonna take it to a unanimous consent vote. And if I see, so we're voting on adding all these amendments to oh, Mark has a list.
Has a list.
Sorry, please go ahead, Mark.
Oh, no, sorry. I just have a small little thing for that I'd like people to take into consideration. So SFU Esports has been waiting for 2018 for this. So I can strongly support putting them just a little bit ahead on the current list. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on this? Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I think because I think the priority is because I'm worried about that we're going to lose quorum and stuff because this is a big thing has been just in awards for Indigenous and international students who are doing this. I just want to get that ahead of time because I understand the esports thing has been a thing for a while, but we just got these 4 motions tacked on and got emailed at 10 minutes after a scheduled meeting time. I wouldn't mind if it was from beforehand, but I literally just got emailed about this while we're still waiting for quorum in the room. I wouldn't mind if it was ahead of time, right?
Arthur, you're next on the list.
Okay, yeah, I think first of all, I think both are equally important. So, but I think it would be best if we just, I agree with everybody else that we should just not change anything in order because we should just follow the rules and just kind of be running as much as we can because we have to be Emilia made a good point about me being constant with people's time, especially in reading break and people have assignment and so on forth. So I think that we shouldn't change anything because it would just stress people out and we would get confused and then just drag a meeting longer. So yeah, thank you.
All right. Oh, okay. I was gonna cut off the list there, but those are done now. So I'm hearing a lot of dissent. So we have two ways we can go about this going forward. We can either just go into a vote, or Roscoe, if you're okay with retracting your part of the motion where you're putting it, changing the order. Roscoe, go ahead.
You know, I honestly don't understand what the problem here is, but it just seems like more drama. But I will say, I'm okay with this motion going then right after that motion. I will say that I have nothing against the scholarship, the bursary motion that is going to be presented, but I think we should, you know, if you're going to say just put that first, then mine should be second. I do want to remind everyone that the SV Sports Association has been waiting since 2018 for this, a long time, and the SFSS has continuously just avoided this. So I just want to say that, but I'm fine this going second right after the scholarship motion and Shauna's motion. Because I do want to reiterate, I do fully support Shauna's motion as well.
Okay, so it sounds like we're going to remove that section that reorders it. We're just going to change it so that the esports motion comes at the first part of that batch of amendments. I'm now going to seek unanimous consent because I don't think anyone was arguing about any of the amendments in principle. So we're going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, this passes. And if that was any indication, we're going to be here for a while. So strap in. You need to use the bathroom or get drinks or water or food. Go do it now. Next on the list, we have Sunyan.
Yep, I have one presentation item called Donation to the Earthquake in Turkey and Syria. And I'm wondering if we can do before the VP External and Community Affairs presentation because the presenter has to leave by 5:30.
Okay, cool. So Sunyan's moving to have a presentation and have it come first in presentations. Sunyan moves, I'll second. Roscoe, you're listed.
Yes, I have one more motion that was sent to me now. Just to amend. I'm sorry for this.
So Roscoe, you have a list later. Honestly, we're considering this right now, so you can do it then. Sorry, point of order, Ashley.
Oh, I was just saying that he's. Oh, I was just saying that Roscoe was trying to amend something on during Sunyan's section, so you should wait. But you got it.
Cool. All right. I assume Emilio, same point of order. Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right. Was there any other discussion on this amendment? Just simple. Yeah. I seek unanimous consent. If you wish to consent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. All right, next on the list we have V.
Hi, I have the amendment that I sent to the council. I'm just gonna put that in the chat. It's regarding Holy. So shall I say it, or do you want to say it, Abby?
I can do it, sure.
Sure, thank you.
The motion is titled Holy Additional Budget, and it goes as follows. Whereas we have calculated the expected amount of revenue from the ticket sales for the Holy event, but due to the nature of event ticketing, we will not receive the funds in hand until the day of the event. Whereas in order to secure the necessary services from the vendors, e.g. fencing, portable washrooms, hand wash stations, color purchasing, staging, sound system, we must make advance payments. Whereas the current budget of $12,500 for the Holy event does not account for this timing issue, and that there is a risk that we may not be able to secure the necessary services if we are unable to make advance payments. Whereas by increasing the budget for this event, we can ensure that we have the necessary funds in advance to pay vendors and secure their services, making the event more successful and enjoyable for attendees. Be it resolved to approve an additional $12,500 from Events Committee from budget line item 81720 under new business. V moves. Can we get a seconder? Can we get a seconder, please? ESSU seconds. Thank you, Eden. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. We're going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. Next on the list, we have Ishana.
Hello, yes, just a discussion item. I just wanted to add in a discussion item called food security programs. That's it.
Discussion item titled Food Security Programs. Noted. Perfect. All right. And Ishana moves a seconder.
VP Finance.
VP Finance seconds. Any discussion? Not seeing any, we're going to take it to a vote. Seeking unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. All right. Next on the list, we have Roscoe.
Yes, one more motion.
All right. And we have the motion here. It reads archaeology finishing motion. Whereas the Space Expansion Fund has roughly $500,000 in unspent funds and collects around $350,000 in student levies. Whereas the Physics Student Association was granted up to $12,700 last semester. Whereas this fund is meant to be used to furnish student spaces around campus. Whereas the Archaeology Student Association Common Room has not seen any significant renovations in 35 years. Be it resolved that council approves the spending of up to $12,700 Canadian dollars for the basic furnishing expenses for the Archaeology Student Society for the Space Expansion Fund. Is there a Roscoe moves? Can I get a seconder?
VP External.
VP External seconds. Sorry, I'm a child. I'm sorry. Is there any discussion on this? Roscoe, go ahead.
Yeah, everyone who's saying thank you, Roscoe, you're all welcome. I love you all. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. Seeking unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function. I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, this passes. All right, I am now on the list, and I will add to everyone's suffering by adding 3 committee elections as new business items. Like that's all of them. Oh, apologies. There's a mistake there. There's a couple of mistakes there. Hold on. Just ignore that, please. I'm going to start with this one because this one's correct. That new business item. And then there'll be this one for first year engagement. And that. So I'm just going to read those out loud. Oversight committee election, whereas there's vacancies on OCEO for 3 non-executive council members, we resolve to appoint, elect non-executive council members A, B, and C to serve on OCEO for the rest of the year. Same thing, first year engagement, but we have 1. Same thing, accessibility, but we have 1. I'll move that batch. Can we get a seconder?
VP External.
VP External seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. We're going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. We have finally exhausted our speakers list. You know what? I'm just going to list, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the the Archaeology Student Society motion to the third new business item. So behind the scholarship and behind esports.
I will second that.
VP Finance seconds. Is there any discussion on this? I guess I'll explain. Well, we have the kind people from, pardon my language, ass here. So I want to make sure that they can head out at a decent time. All right. I'm not seeing any dissents. So if you wish to, I'm going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. That passes. All right. I just really wanted to say that. All right. We are now on to presentations and we have a presentation from, sorry if I can just pull this up. Where'd it go? Oh boy. I'll try and scroll and see if I can find it. Sorry, Sungin, can you oh, sorry, you know what, we need to pass the actual we need to pass the actual agenda. I don't think we passed the amended agenda, so that's my mistake. But Sungin, if you could also just list what the presentation is called again, that'd be great in the meantime. So sorry, the new motion reads, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion on that? Oh, I did forget one thing. I'm going to put this under new business, but it's more of a consent agenda matter. We'll just throw it under new business at the very end. This is just a formality and it won't affect the order of anything, but just throwing this in at the end. Worst case, we can do it at the consent agenda next meeting, but it's just be a resolve to the resignation of the GASU counselor Amelia da Silva. Oh, point of information.
Sorry, Abby, I thought it was just because you give John's list, so that was because of that.
Okay, thanks. So that's how that reads. I'll move that. Can I get a seconder? Please. ESSU seconds, thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. All right, Sungin, what was the title of the presentation? Let's go ahead.
Yeah, that was the donation for the earthquake in Turkey and Syria.
Okay. I'll put that in the chat. We still actually do have to pass that amended motion. Apologies. So once again, motion still reads, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. I'm going to seek unanimous consent on this. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. Thank you, Sungin. That's what I needed just for it to be in chat. All right, we are now on to said item donation to the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Sungin, you have the floor. I have also enabled screen sharing, as I assume either yourself or someone else who's here with us today will be screen sharing.
Yeah, all right. Hello, everyone. This is a presentation that we had in last Equity and Sustainability Committee meeting. And this was brought up by SFSS Club CASA. And by this presentation, we'd like to inform other counselors about current emergency situation in Turkey and Syria, which impacted by 7.8 magnitude earthquake. And yeah, we have a presenter, CASA member Shalina. I think you can start the presentation.
Hi, sorry. My name is Shalina and I am a vice president of CASA, Central Asian Students Association. And I'll just share my screen right now and get presenting. So this is our agenda for the day, for today's presentation. So we're just going to go a bit about who we are as CASA and the current situation in Syria and Turkey and our past actions and what we are hoping from SFU Council. CASA is a Central Asian Students Association club, which is its aim is to unite people of Central Asian heritage and cherish the diversity of Turkic nations by promoting cross-cultural awareness and responding to the needs of Central Asian students. And the reason why we wanted to do something for the situation in Syria and Turkey is because we have family and friends that are impacted, and so also support the Turkish and Syrian people who are affected by this tragedy financially and mental support. So the current situation in Turkey and Syria, as we all know, on February 6, 2023, an earthquake of the magnitude of 7.7 hit southern Turkey and North Syria. The death toll exceeded 40,000 is expected to rise, and the lack of support international attention to Syria due to sanctions. And also on Monday, February 20th, a new 6.4 scale earthquake hit southern Turkey and northwestern Syria again. And there are warnings of tsunamis. And on top of that, because the area was already affected from the first earthquake, already damaged and weakened buildings have collapsed, so increasing the amount of buildings that have collapsed since the first earthquake. And just to give a little context of our past actions, so February 9th, 10th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, CASA collaborated with SFU MSA, and we held a donation center, not donation center, but like a little donation area at the sub. And these donations were then collected and sent to the Mavi warehouse, where the Turkish embassy has been collecting donations to send to Turkey. And on the 17th, we also collaborated with MSA to do a Krispy Kreme donut sale. And here we collected about $500, I think, and all in all from our donations from the sub and overall the Krispy Kreme donuts, we collected $1,165. And so for the two organizations that we were hoping to donate to, that we're hoping that SFU and SFSS will donate to is Ahbab. This is a Turkish local emergency aid, where this is one of the most active in the affected regions of the earthquake. And so what they do is they provide emergency aid and support to those affected by natural disasters such as earthquakes and floods. And because this is a local Turkish organization, it's hard to find like something within like the Canadian the Canada website where you can search for like registered charity donations. But here is a example that a statement we found from Queen's University, which has listed Ahbab as one of the main reliable places that we can donate to. And our second donation area we think about is the White Helmet. So this provides search and rescue services to those affected by conflict, including pulling survivors from rubble and providing medical assistance. The White Helmets is well known for its volunteer services. It's had a lot of, I guess, what's the right word? A lot of references within media and as well as lots of documentaries, and it's been noted on the New York Times Magazine. Along with that, we have a little statement here that I guess we could use. This is the White Helmet is endorsed by governmental organizations like the USAID. In the PST has supported the White Helmets. The White Helmets is an internationally acclaimed organization with numerous awards, including the nomination for the Nobel Prize. And with that, I'm going to go into what we are expecting SFU and SFSS to contribute to this. Taha, I think you can go ahead with the presentation.
Hey, first, can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's a little noisy in the background.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in the in front of the hospital. Sorry, I had an emergency. Yes, thank you for your presentation. As my friend said, there was like two devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, and unfortunately, we didn't feel much supported by either university or like Canadian people in general. So there are some requirements, some requests by us. First of all, we want some acknowledgement about these earthquakes. And maybe a release of statement by the president that communicates solidarity and empathy with the peoples of Turkey and Syria, and also communicate sort of situation to the faculty and like talk about how devastated the earthquake was, and so they can be more empathized and be more, how can I say, understanding with the assignments and attendance in class. That was a bit of a problem with me, to be honest, especially in the first week after the earthquake. It was impossible to focus on anything. Can you go to the next slide, please? And as a support, maybe we can create some support groups or counseling groups for Turkish and Syrian students with RAs, teaching assistants, staff, faculty for these challenging times, and make it easier for students in the affected areas to apply to SFU. There was an application by a Turkish group to Canadian government about easing the visa applications to Canada from Turkey after the earthquake. We asked the same thing for SFU as well. Can you go to the next slide, please? And if possible, increase the donation amount for both countries, for Turkey and Syria, to 3,000 Canadian dollars each, maybe even more, as a donation. And lastly, communicate with the community can provide support to people in affected areas, and support people to encourage people to donate to Turkey and Syria. And that was all. Thank you.
Yeah, so during the ESC meeting, we had passed the motion for monetary donation to local Turkey and Syria organization that CASA was presented. And I'll send the details of this motion in the chat. So you can donate from those links that I sent you in the chat. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Sung-Yun, and thank you to those who presented. Anyone with any questions, you can list right now. Yes, thank you for that clarification, Ashley. We are not passing anything today. What was passed was already passed at Equity Committee. Not seeing anything, so thank you to our presenters. Thank you, Sung-Yun. Thank you for raising awareness about this. This is a very sad natural tragedy, and I hope the money that was passed ends up helping those who need it. So thank you for coming out. You can feel free to stay, but you can also feel free to leave. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Ishana, you have a list?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for presenting. And also I saw the calls to actions as well. If there's anything else we can do, I know we passed a motion in equity, but if there's anything else we can do, like calls to action, things like that, let us know. I'm sure we can also like help spread awareness on the SFSS social media. So if there's like a post we need to share or something, please do reach out, I guess, to any of the execs. I'm assuming Sung-Yun is the contact person. But once again, let us know. We are here to support. And once again, thank you for your labor, creating that presentation, and putting in the work to help us realize what's going on and the tragedy that is currently happening. But once again, thank you. And we are here to support.
Thank you, Ishana. So I'm just make sure I didn't miss any of the lists. Nope, just that one. All right. And yes, I concur with what Ishana said. You can feel free to Sung-Yun as your point person. If there's anyone else you wanted to talk to at all, we're happy to help. We're happy to spread the word. Is there any other discussion on this? I'm not seeing any, so once again, thank you. We're going to move on to the Federal Lobbying 2023 overview. This was submitted by Ishana and will be presented by myself and Ishana. Ishana, did you want to share your screen on this? Or did you want me to? Can I? Okay, yes. Let me make sure this thing's ready to go. Slideshow. There we go. We're going to screen share. We're going to share the application specifically. There we are. Can everyone see this? Yes. And you can't see my other screen. Good. Okay. It took me like 5 tries, but we finally got this. All right. Let's take this away. Thanks, everyone. This is going to be presented by me and Ishana. Betting as we were the ones who went to Ottawa and did the federal lobbying, so we'll be presenting to you on federal lobbying today. Before we begin, we'll do a territorial acknowledgement. We acknowledge the SFSS is located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. We are guests on these territories, and we must be mindful of our privilege to have the opportunity to work, study, and live on these lands. All right. So we're going to be going into recommendations based on kind of the recommendations we had going into lobbying with these MPs, and as well as I think we've kept those recommendations heading out. All right, so first, the big thing is supporting international students. So I think we heard a little bit about it here at Council with a lot of supports for international students ending within the upcoming year, and some of those we were able to tackle and some of those weren't. So one example is something we unfortunately weren't able to tackle were the grants and such that were ending. Unfortunately, the MPs we talked to, it wasn't quite in their sphere, and generally what we saw was with the MPs, what we discussed was anything that required them to either give up something monetary or not take in potential revenue was pretty much a non-starter. And we'll get into that as we move into the rest of this presentation. But basically our goals were making sure we were getting the federal and BC government to kind of support international students financially and assist specifically in their cultural, social, and academic integration into their education here. And additionally, we also thought it was important that, the big thing we see here with tuition is that domestic students have that 2% cap where no matter how bad inflation is, no matter how things are, there's that certainty that it will be a 2% increase. It'd be great if SFU didn't increase at 2%, but at least we can plan so that it's a 2% increase. Unfortunately, international students don't have that certainty. There's no cap whatsoever. So, if there was say a 10% cap, at least you'd know there's that cap, and then you can work at bringing that down. Right now, there's absolutely no certainty. So you could go on expecting to pay one price, but then like we saw at Emily Carr University, you can get a 30% increase in tuition year to year, which is not something you can expect. And obviously, as we've seen, has caused great financial hardship. So that's why we advocated on putting in some sort of limit in order to create fairness, consistency, and predictability for international student fees. Additionally, the annual cap on international students would kind of point was to have the policy kind of create that equal treatment with domestic students. And again, without the financial pressures of potentially if tuition didn't go up so much, more students could maybe take on a part-time job instead of a full-time job, which gives you more time to study and do better in education, or potentially to have more of a high level of social integration as you have more time to kind of socialize if you're not living paycheck to paycheck, having to pick up as many hours as you can to survive. And lastly, we figured that something we recommend was institutions offer cost-saving measures and that this is supported at the federal level. So if a federal government can pass money to support food banks or other food security programs, that was something we advocated on as well. Ishana, if you want to add on to that, that'd be great.
I think you covered that perfectly well. Yeah, just I guess reiterating what the federal government could do, especially talking about the tuition fee limit policy and making sure that we kind of framed it in a way of fairness for all students. I know that Abby especially really framed it in a way of let's look at our economy. But he can talk about that more. But Abby, I think you hit all the right points there.
Thank you. Sorry, my mute button disappeared there. All right, so we're going to move on to this is again hitting on eliminating the international student health fees. So there was 2 groups we particularly talked to about this. It was the MP Tracy Gray, the Conservative MP of Kelowna, and we talked to the the Canadian Federation of Students about this as well. And I think with MP Gray, I think while we didn't quite get to where we wanted to, which was the first point, which was just straight up reiterate, well, we did reiterate that healthcare is important for all students, right? And that, again, a lot of students probably came here with the understanding that BC has one of the more robust healthcare systems around the world, and tuition relative to around the world is a little bit lower. So when they come here for that, to get surprised with this international student health fee, which is $75 a month, is something that's not equitable. Now, one of our big wins from this lobbying trip actually has to do with number 2, which is recognizing work study in Canada as a part of the Canadian work experience. Now, I'm not sure if Tracy Gray took this, or MP Gray took this exactly as we phrased it, but one thing she did take from this was that the international work limit of limiting students to working 20 hours per week, that limit's been lifted temporarily, but it's going to be going back into effect, I believe it's next year. She took a very strong stance in listening to us on advocating against that and keeping it so that international students are able to work 40 hours, up to 40 hours a week. That was, along with recognizing this work study, I think that's one of our bigger wins we have with the MPs, somewhere we found some common ground. And I think she was very receptive to our arguments about how international students are very, very important to supporting small businesses. And in a time of a labor crisis or a labor shortage, how important it is that we do have people who are able to fill those jobs. And additionally, the international students often do end up settling down here and creating families and such, which is, again, very, very important for the economy. Lastly, we also talked about allocating best services for mental health. This was something we particularly covered with the Alliance of BC Students, but I think that was just more of us agreeing that it's important, and that it's important, particularly for international students who are kind of juggling like academics along with kind of a culture shock if this is their first time in the country, and how the increased stress and anxiety that comes from this. But I'll let Ishana kind of pick up for anything I haven't covered.
Yeah, just little note there, it's not the Alliance of BC Students, but Canadian Federation of Students. Yeah, just for the record. Yeah, I guess just one thing, it's not like for sure that this like work limit will like never be a thing again. But I think, like as Abby said, MP Gray was really receptive to it. So we're hoping that we can follow up with her, and then making sure that like, oh, hey, remember that we advocated for this. Can you maybe bring this up during question period again? Oh, by the way, I guess I was going to bring this up later, but MP Gray actually brought us up during question period. She was like, oh, like I met up with a student society from SFU, and that's like pretty big when you get it brought up during question period. So we were like, yep. So I'm actually looking for the clip because they all get posted. So hopefully I can send the clip of us getting a shout out because that's pretty big at the federal level. But yeah, once again, we're hoping that like, since she was receptive to it, we can follow up, making sure that that's something that maybe the federal government like announces as a permanent thing and not just temporary. And yeah, I think everything else Abby covered really well. So yeah, that's all I had to add there.
Thank you, Ishana. I will also say Tracy was very gracious with her time for us. I believe she started early and ended late. So thank you. I guess if you're watching this, Tracy Gray, thank you for your time. I'm going to be moving on to sexual violence support prevention. Ishana, do you want to take this one away?
Yeah, just before we start, trigger warning for sexualized violence. If folks need to take some time, maybe someone can like send a message into the Discord after, but feel free to hop out. All we're talking about are like recommendations, but once again, trigger warning, sexualized violence, and then maybe I can send in a message to Discord after we're done talking about it. Should be about like, I would say like 5 minutes. But yeah, we had a couple recommendations. We've been advocating for this a lot at the provincial level. However, we're not seeing a lot of change. So we're hoping that we do see change. And this is one of the reasons why we brought it to the federal level as well. The federal government also provides a lot of funding, well, not a lot, but provides funding for sexualized violence support prevention and support for survivors. So we had a couple recommendations here. So we talked to MP Salma Zahid's office about this specifically. We talked to one of the people in her office, and then we had a chance to also talk to her a little bit as well. So we had a meeting with the staffer first, and then we met with her, I think maybe like 30 minutes after. But yeah, so once again, what we put in here was just providing more increased funding. And one of the biggest things here is that when advocating for sexualized violent prevention offices and things like that, we're always asking for funding, but we're asking for funding with a specific way that it should be allocated. So instead of just like giving money to institutions, we want the federal government to not necessarily guide, because they aren't allowed, well, maybe like guidance, but not telling them what to do, but kind of giving like a nudge in the right direction of like, oh, work with folks with lived experience and things like that. Another like big thing here is that with advocacy here, folks have already done the work for what we want in policy and what we want for funding and how we want funds to be allocated. We just need the federal government to listen to us and have that be done. Yeah, and I think the rest is kind of like what I talked about. I kind of just said it in my own words, but really listening, doing things in a trauma-informed and survivor-centered approach. Also talking about this through an intersectional lens, and also investing in research. So a lot of the work has been done with, as I said, advocates before, but making sure that if the federal government does implement things, that folks are given like honorariums and things like that if they have lived experience to help fill in the policy gaps and things if and when needed. But yeah, I guess that's it for this part. I guess, Abby, would you be able to send a message into Discord while I do the next slide that we're done? But yeah, on to the next slide.
Oh, I muted myself. Oops.
Thank you, Abby. Oh, also feel free to add after, but I guess I can just get on going. So yeah, we also talked about climate action at the SFSS. A big thing here was we talked about that we've been talking about the pipeline for so long here and the tank farms for so long. We talked to one of the staffers in one of the MP's offices, and we were like, hey, like I was super for real about this, and I was like, we have been talking about this for years and nothing has been done. Our voice we haven't been listened to, not even talking about how the federal government hasn't been listening to Indigenous voices as well, especially like in the pipeline. So we were like, hey, please just stop it. We're done. And I also talked about how basically like we're just going to die. And I was very upfront about it. I was like, will the federal government look at us as students in the eye and say it's okay that we die for this pipeline? Like it doesn't, like we don't understand. So that was one of the things we talked about. With this specific ask, we framed it in a way talking about our health. So we're like, because I remember I talked to the Burnaby fire chief. I went to a town hall as well, and then they talked about like the extreme health concerns. Like apparently there's this like gas or some kind of gas or something that if it like leaks out of like the tank farm or the pipeline, like it can paralyze us from the waist down, and that's scary. Like that's so scary to me. I don't want that to happen. I've heard about people like not wanting to go to SFU anymore. I've heard of people like rather going to like another university even if it like costs more, just because like our lives are at risk here. So basically our ask was for this to cease, collaborating with TransLink on things, I guess, not about the pipeline. We also talked about our gondola. We talked about the unique place that SFU is at and how we're literally a university on a mountain. So we're like, hey, it would be great if we have a gondola. And we talked about how this also goes in with like climate action and how it'll get more people like to not like take their cars up the mountain and things like that, seeing as parking is so expensive. But yeah, that's some things that we talked about. Abby, if you want to add anything else here.
Yeah, thanks, Ishan. I think you summed up both of the previous pieces pretty well. The only thing I'll add is, again, I'm glad we got to talk about the gondola. Shout out my boy Colin. But I think it's one of the few projects that we've seen has been supported at pretty much all levels. So getting that word out there at the federal level as well to make sure it gets funding funded properly was something that was important to myself. I think we're good for this slide now, yeah? Yeah, okay, cool. So just going through our meetings. We went with MP Salma Zahid and her, I don't know if we would call her top aide or just her office in general. Also with MP Tracy Gray and her office. We met with the CFSS, the Canadian Federation of Students, not the Alliance BC of Students, with Marie Koros and James Casey. And then we also met with Emiliana Titarenko, who was one of the senior advisors, communications and issues for the health minister. We also did meet, I'm going to blank on her name, so Ishana, please correct me. We met an MP at the airport and we had a little discussion with her about a couple of things as well. So I ended up getting a little bonus meeting in there, which was nice. With MP Salma Zahid, we mainly covered the, I guess, trigger warning, the sexual violence prevention, as well as the gondola and a couple other things. With MP Tracy Gray, it was mostly the international student factors, because they do have the Okanagan campus in Kelowna, so we felt it was relevant to them. With Emelina, we discussed the climate action in particular, and with CFS, we kind of discussed everything. The CFSS were kind enough to provide us a used tote bag as a memory of the encounter, so that was good, as well as a couple rusty buttons. That was great. Was there anything you wanted to add to that, Ishana?
No, that sounds great. I guess just one thing I wanted to add was that I feel like these meetings went really well. It was really great to like start establishing these relationships, especially with like all the offices, making sure that like now that we met them in person, it's like, oh, they know who we are, what we advocate for. And when we send those emails, hopefully it's more of like a priority to reply and things as well, since they know us and we met them. But yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to add there.
Thank you, Ishana. All right, so these are just some pictures from some of our meetings. On the left, we have MP Tracy Gray, and then we have MP Salma, and then we have Marie from the Canadian Federation of Students. Yeah, anything to that, Ishana? Yeah, all right, cool. So the Canadian Federation of Students, our big thing from their meeting was the longest, I believe. It went about an hour and a half, 2 hours, Ishana, that's right, yeah? Essentially, again, big thing was support for international students, possibly working with them in a working group was something that they brought up, which is definitely interesting to us. They particularly pointed out, as we weren't a member, I don't know if member state's the right word, I guess member university, that they would still have us in, which is quite interesting. They also talked about, we got to talk, and this will be more on the next slide, and I'll let Ishana talk a little more about this. But we talked about one of our students who's facing deportation and the external office is working on this. So Ishana, I don't know if you want to talk about it on this slide or the next one.
I will talk about it on the next slide.
Yes, and also I will add in one chat thing from Ella in the chat, and I want to be very clear on this to council. We will not be joining the CFSS. To be very, very clear, there was no discussion on this, at least from our end, and we have no interest in joining them. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like update on the meeting overall. It was really great because we got to talk about international students. We got like, also since we aren't members, they still like gave us the opportunity for like us to tell international students and international students groups to like start working on like a working group with them. So they have international students from like across the country that they're like, oh hey, like if SFU has like folks that want to join in, and we're like, yeah, that sounds great. So it was like really nice of them to like give us that opportunity. They also gave us like some other opportunities. They aren't like at the top of my head, but I think the main one was about international students and going to like these conferences and stuff, which was amazing. So hopefully we'll follow up on that. I'm wanting to talk to some groups about that as well, probably like Migrant Students United and other students which are in other international groups. And I think, as Ella said in the chat too, they're starting on a national working group for international students, which is going to be amazing. And then update. So we also brought up, I know I brought up to council the student facing deportation. And so we brought this up with the CFS as well. And we're like, oh, hey, like, is there anything, like any advice y'all can give us, like any like support we can get? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I'm currently in contact with I think they're one of their research or policy people, and then we're trying to get a meeting with Zane's local MLA, and we're also trying to get in contact with Simon Fraser again, as we talked about before. So hopefully if we can collaborate nationally, we can get more support on this. But yeah, I think big things from the meeting was the international students working group. I think that's going to be absolutely like huge if we want to do some like national campaigning. But yeah, that's just an update there. I guess we can, unless Abby, you have anything to add, we can go on to the next slide.
All right, so we're on to the Parliament tour and question period. Anyway, Sean, I'll let you talk about this, so I'll talk about my story afterwards.
Okay, yeah, because Abby has a story. I guess something that the board organizer planned, which I think was really amazing, was the Parliament building kind of tour. So we went to the Parliament building, and we kind of got a feel of like what it's about. And then something, I think one of the best parts of being there too was question period. And I'm gonna talk about this in the next year's recommendation for federal lobbying, but we got to hear the MPs talk about the cost of living and inflation, and it was really, really interesting. We got to hear like different sides of what the different parties thought of the cost of living and inflation, their different arguments and things. So I thought it was really great to like hear and just see their different counter arguments to each other as well. And within this, I feel like it was it's really beneficial to even think about how we talk about our arguments when we're talking about cost of living and inflation, if we're getting funding. For example, we talked about food security. Oh, going back to that, MP Tracy Gray actually wanted to learn more about our food security programs. I plugged our breakfast program and she was like, yo, tell me more about it. So I'm hoping that I'll send her office an email of like pictures of that. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. I think it's really, really beneficial if like next year's group that goes federal lobbying goes to a certain question period that aligns with what we're lobbying for or advocating for, because it was really, really eye-opening. And it's really eye-catching as well. But I guess I'll leave it to Abby to talk about your story and whatever else you want to add.
Yeah, I'll be quick, and I'll get a quick trigger warning for those who may have trauma with the police. Just a quick trigger warning. So we did attend a session of just after question period where we had a large number of conservative MPs, a couple liberal, and then a couple, I think one NDP there as well. And essentially, if you're in the Parliament building, there's like a public seating area, and then there's like 3 sections to the right. I did, those are apparently specifically for media or something, so the public is not supposed to go there. Abby didn't get the memo, so Abby hopped onto the guardrail and went all the way over to the conservative side, and for 55 seconds, I got to see the conservatives just talking mad smack. It was so cool. Like, I think Ishana can attest. Like, I was like hanging over the guardrails, like eyes like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then a police officer comes down. It's like, grabs me on the shoulder. He's like, you gotta go, bro. This is not the public section. I was like, wait, what? And then he's like, you gotta go. Like, where is the public section? He goes, points to, he's like, where you were sitting before. I was like, oh, damn. Like, it was really cool. Like, I was so close to them. I could like read their laptop screens from up there. I could hear like little like this interpersonal discussions. It was super, super cool. And like, police aside, that was pretty cool. I wouldn't do it again, but like, it was pretty cool. And even from our regular seating, like there was still like, they had these really cool devices where like, if you couldn't hear people, you could like hold it up to your ear and you could hear what they're saying. It also did French to English translations, which is really cool. So we had a couple members of the Bloc Québécois speaking, and we were able to hear them speak with the English translation almost immediately, which is pretty cool. But yeah, pay attention to where you're sitting. That's the moral of the story. All right, so I think we can move on to the next part. Just some pictures of this picture of the Parliament building. It was quite snowy in Ottawa, but our first day we actually had some pretty nice sun. The next days were just cold, but no actual snow during our time. It was just like built up on the sidewalks and stuff. So that's good. Although there was certainly some risky moments there where there was a lot of ice on like the sidewalk and the road and the stairs leading up to our Airbnb. So we certainly had some close encounters there. Yeah. And then
Oh, sorry. I guess like going back to it before, it's not really like them like talking smack. I think it's just them like getting like they're very like passionate about what they're saying, but just for like being formal and like like nobody's really doing that. It's just people get very passionate during question period as well. Like you'll especially hear like at all like when you go to the provincial level, question period is very like it's very entertaining. Like you really see like the sides and what people are talking about. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Abby, but just wanted to clarify that for the record.
Yes, I'm not going to comment on what I heard and what I didn't hear, but yes, what Ishana said. Yeah, so we also got the pleasure of viewing this Indigenous film purely in the Haida language with Haida actors. Viewing of the, I'm so sorry, I'm going to botch this. Sagawe Kuna. That's my best pronunciation of it. I don't know, Ishana, if you know if I've mispronounced that. Yeah, I don't know. It was at, I think it was Carleton University, I want to say. They were doing a film of it, yeah. I don't know if we have, yeah, okay, here's the description of it. The movie is the first feature-length film made completely in the Haida language, which is only fluently spoken by about 24 people. The telling of a classic Haida story with the focus on centering Indigenous language and cultural revitalization. National viewing, pardon me. But yes, it was super cool. Very, very well done. Like the action scenes were very, very well done. I was really, really tired, but that movie brought me like into it. So it was a very, very well shot film. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, Ishana.
We can go on to the next slide because that's where the next one. Yeah, okay, yeah. Just once again, what Abby said, it was a really great movie. And then once again in like the full Haida language. And it was, I think it was at Carleton University. But anyways, we did a debrief after watching the movie as well. And then I think one of the things going into it when me and Ella were the board organizer, were planning this, Ella brought up also doing an Indigenous activity. And I was like, yeah, of course. I think we first wanted to meet with like Indigenous leaders or like an Indigenous Students Union. However, we did not like hear back. So we chose to like self-educate ourselves. So we were like, and then Ella found this movie and we're like, yeah, it sounds great. So next year we're hoping that maybe like folks who go can like watch another movie in like the Haida, or like if another movie comes out, we're hoping that maybe we can reach out to Indigenous student associations prior to the winter break, because we reached out after. And we really kind of also reflected on like, once again, the work that we're doing, where we are doing the work as well, like grounding ourselves as uninvited guests. And once again, always thinking about the lands that we're on. And yeah, I guess if you want to add anything, Abby.
No, I think you summed it up great. All right, I think we can move on to the next slide. Our recommendations for next year's lobbying, excuse me. So our lobbying trip was kind of structured of how executives and staff prior to us had done it. And I think going forward, we should take into account the new governance model we have and the changes that have been made in going forward of how lobbying trips are done. Another recommendation is that we saved money using an Airbnb and minimize our travel costs. And I think if we plan even earlier in the future, it can ensure we get the right accommodations. And to clarify from my previous point, what Ella put, she wants to make sure there's a priority towards students and counselors going in the future. Lastly, from my end, in the external account, we may want to look to get an Uber business account, as Uber was our main means of travel around Ottawa. And I think even in Toronto, we use some Uber. So it's just the easy way, and it's very, very well functioning. We often got Ubers within a couple minutes. So getting an Uber business account in the future for 1 month may be a smart thing. We did use the train, Hillary. We did use the train going from Ottawa to Toronto. And yes, it was quite good. All right. Sean, do you want to take over for the last few?
Yeah, so Abby took more of the economic side, just like when we did during lobbying. Ha ha ha. But yeah, so before we went lobbying, we did simulations. So we kind of like practiced what it would be like for lobbying. So then staff like pretended to be MPs, and then we were like in our lobbying like zones. And then what really helped us here, Abby and I, is like we found our strengths and what we could talk about. So Abby really talked about like the economic side of things. I talked more of like my advocacy, like the social kind of thing, like the real of like what students are actually facing within my conversations working in community. And I think that was great. So we really recommended that for next time that simulations happen earlier and possibly for more times. I know Abby and I just had like 2 rounds of simulations. We're hoping that the next group gets more. We're hoping that next year the campaigns coordinator also develops portfolios on all the ministers' offices, so we kind of know like what ministers, because we knew what committees the ministers were chairing, but we're hoping that we're like getting more like in depth of like maybe like bills that they've passed and things like that. So maybe we can bring it up, like thank them for their work, seeing what more can be done through their offices. Also having a master doc instead of, so we during the lobby days, we had briefing notes that we were handing out to the ministers. We're hoping that we can actually have like a full booklet and be like, these are all of our recommendations for all the ministers' offices. We're still going to get that made so we can send it out to membership. However, we want to have it made for federal ministers next time in their offices. And then once again, we're hoping that like next year we can rotate the ministers that we meet with. We're also assuming that the issues that we're facing this year will maybe be a bit different for next year. Of course, some issues are like standing still. However, you never know what you'll be advocating for until the year comes and until like a survey is done and you ask students what they want you to be advocating for. But yeah, I guess that's it for recommendations. There's the next slide.
Yeah, just one thing, Ishana, before we move on, I want to just go back to what Ishana said on one point was just for any of you, if any of you ever go lobbying for anything going forward at any point, something that I think, again, me and Ishana did really well was knowing who we are. I think ultimately when you're speaking to people and trying to get them to do something, going in as disingenuous is just not going to do you any favors. Obviously, there's certain things or certain thoughts you'll have to suppress. Like if you hear someone talking about, oh, they don't believe in climate change or whatever, like do you believe in climate change? It's going to be something like a disagreement point. But knowing what you're there for and knowing what you're best at is really going to help your lobbying efforts. So again, like Ishana mentioned, I'm very much an economics guy. So when talking to Tracy Gray, I focused on the economics and I think it went well. And Ishana was really good at the knowing her stuff and all her meetings and all her work she's done with her external portfolio. And she was able to express that in our meetings with MP Salma and our other staff we've met with. And I think sticking to those strengths was what helped us out. So any recommendation to anyone doing lobbying in the future, know who you are and work with that. All right. And just some more photos of us. On the left, we're just leaving the University of Ottawa. In the middle, we're in, don't remember what the building is called, but this is where we met MP Salma. And then on the right is the Parliament building. All right. Is there any feedback? I believe this is the last slide. Yeah. Then we'll stop sharing. And I think Roscoe was listed.
Hi, yes, sir, may I speak?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for presenting this. I think as a student union, it's our job to lobby on behalf of the student body. I do have one feedback / concern, and so it is related to the use of Airbnb. So I am aware that we passed on issues policies IP10. It's regarding the Palestinian issues. And we have an economic boycott section. And in that section, there's a link to 112 companies named by the UN that are complicit in regards to the colonization of Palestine by Israel. So I am one, and Airbnb is literally number 2 on that list. So I am wondering, is it ethical for us in regards to even that we have to follow these issues policies. They are important. They were placed here for a reason. So I'm wondering, are we allowed to even use, Airbnb or sign checks from vendors that are listed on this issues policies? I think it would be best for someone who's more familiar with this, and maybe VP External, VP Equity, to also chime in on this.
Thanks, Roscoe. Did anyone want to directly respond to that? Sorry, I'm just getting a phone call. I don't know that I have a direct response, I guess. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll get back to you, Roscoe, on that.
Yeah, I think it might be best for the, VP Equity or the Equity Committee to just talk about this. Because I do think if you're going to be passing issues policies, we have to, stay true to the word and support what they represent.
Thank you, Roscoe. Ishana, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure, Roscoe. In all honesty, I didn't know, and that's of our fault for not doing more research. Once again, we want to uphold our issues policy, so we'll make sure in the future we don't use Airbnb. That is our fault for not looking into it. Thank you for bringing it up. And then I don't know if Ella, you have anything to add here too, but yeah, I think the main things are that we want to always uphold our issues policy. It's our fault for not researching. And yeah, Ella, if you want, I see Ella listed.
Ella, go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, just to add on to what Ishana was saying, that is definitely something I think should be talked about, how we can all continue to uphold our issues policy in this way. That was obviously an oversight on my end as well. And, we take accountability for that. But I think definitely going forward, making sure that these things are kept at front of mind. I think we all understand the level of importance of it. So yeah, thank you for flagging that, Roscoe.
Thank you, Ella. Roscoe, you're listed next.
Yeah, so I'll be just quick. Yeah, you recognize, mistakes are made, right? It's just that I do know there was even people who are very passionate about these issues, policies seem to have broken them. So I think we do need more education into what these issues policies entail. What are our stances, because we can't just, be talking. We also have to put in our words into action. And, if there's a vendor that we're going to boycott, we should absolutely, otherwise it's virtue signaling, right? So we have to walk the talk. And thank you too for responding.
Thank you, Roscoe. I think Arthur, you're listed next.
Hi, so just a quick thought is that I think I agree with the recommendation that you should expand the list of people who go to the lobbying day in the federal government, including the students, because I think that it's one thing, two things that can benefit from it. My standpoint, one is that you get to have more diverse opinion on what actual student thinking, and also because let's say for example you bring someone who's from a Palestinian background, like Roscoe said earlier, then you might have a little bit more input on how you address it with the federal government, and what can they do to help address it, and so on forth. So you get a little bit more perspective on how you can solve that in that sort of scenario. And then secondly would be that I think it's more helpful if it's not just the exclusive club kind of thing where we go to the executive. So I think it's kind of a good idea to expand that list to students, just so we get a little bit more participation, and just so people don't think that SFSS is just exclusive club for some good reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. I think it's a good point. Ishana, you have a direct response.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Arthur. So yeah, when this first was brought up, I wanted to bring ECA. However, a lot of like the response overwhelmingly was that it was like a big money issue, which is why Abby and I are actually talking about, hopefully when Abby's back to becoming VP Finance, we're hoping to increase the ECA budget. This is one thing that we really wanted to bring up, is that $10,000 is not enough for the external and community affairs budget, because you go on like multiple lobbying trips, and then you host like a lot of external events, you get a lot of politicians even in the sub, and then and it's a lot of like just like getting people like coffees or dinners and things like that. So first of all, like making the budget larger so more people can come. And also, I guess that was also like when we did our debrief, I think Ella also brought this up of like getting more students to come, whether it's ECA members, counselors, things like that. So I definitely agree with you there. And then hopefully like next year we can also get like the survey out earlier and things. One thing that we all talked about as well was that this was our first time lobbying after like 3 years online. So we were also kind of figuring out like the processes and things like that. Now I feel like we know like kind of the timeline of when to start things, when to do things, and how to get more people on these trips as well, because it's so beneficial and we want people to get that experience of lobbying at the federal level as well. So I definitely agree with everything that you said, Arthur, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ishan. I think the speakers list is now exhausted. I'll give a couple last seconds if anyone wants to comment on this. I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Thank you, everyone, first of all, for listening to that. I know that was a long one, and thank you for the feedback. I'm going to make a quick proposal here that we just skip presentations, or not presentations, reports today, because we're already running long, and I think we have like 12 new business items. So I think what we can do is we have a lighter agenda next council meeting. We can come back to these and go through them. But honestly, like we're going to be here till at least 7:30, and we're looking at times where we might run out of quorum. So I want to try and save as much time as we can. So if it's permissible with execs and counselors, is it okay if we skip the reports for today? All I see is Peter going. Counselors are fine with it? Sure. Okay with me? Okay. If anyone's dissenting to that, just let us know now. See a thumbs up. Ishana, go ahead.
Could we possibly send counselors our updates just so they know what we're working on?
Yes, that's fine. If you guys want to email them or whatever, that's fine. Or if we want to email the slides, that's fine as well. I can do that after council.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay, we want to email. Is that what we want them to email the slides after? Yes? Okay, cool. All right, we'll do that. Cool. All right. So given that, we're going to move past reports and we are going to head over to new business. The first new business item is titled Award for Indigenous Students and International Students, which was submitted by our VP External. There is also an attached briefing note. I hope people have read. The motion reads as follows. Whereas the VP External has been working on establishing an award for Indigenous and international students, where its council has shown interest for an SFU internal financial award to help students financially, whereas this award would help students who face systemic barriers in accessing education, whereas the SFSS believes in all students should have the right to access post-secondary education, and this includes marginalized students who unfairly have lower access to education, whereas Indigenous students are only eligible for scholarships in the fall semester, and this award can be awarded in any term, opening up the option for students to apply for awards in different semesters, whereas international students may face challenges aside from being a student and adapting to different culture, being away from support systems, paying the international student health fee, paying for housing and food, and this award would help them alleviate those barriers. Sorry, those international students, not Indigenous students, pardon me, I may have mixed those up, excuse me. Whereas we've established a similar award for refugee and Black students starting at 20,000 Canadian dollars annually for each award. Be it resolved, the SFSS Council approves up to $20,000 annually, the SFSS Undergraduate Award for Indigenous students, and the SFSS Undergraduate Award for International students from a budget line item to be determined by the VP Finance. Be it further resolved, the SFSS Vice President External and Community Affairs and SFSS Vice President Finance and Services and the SFSS Vice President Equity and Sustainability and the President where needed to work on completing the process of developing the scholarship with consideration of tuition increase and appropriate logistics, including the signing of the terms of reference and the donation agreement. Be it further resolved to direct the VP Finance to ensure that this is budgeted in the draft budget. Can we get a mover?
VP Finance.
VP Finance moves. Can we get a seconder?
VP External.
VP External seconds. Ishana, as the submitter of this motion, you can have priority if you like.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited to present this award. I think we talked about this. Folks had a real appetite for an internal thing. So I was like, let's do it. So I'm really, really excited to have this award here. I know I gave some insight in the briefing note, but I guess just giving a little bit of background on it. This will be a financial award for Indigenous students, one for one Indigenous student, one for one international student, and then for the Indigenous Students Award, I know I talked about this in the briefing note, but I had a bunch of consultations, and then when I talked to FNMISA, one of the main feedback things that I got was that they didn't want just one award for one student, but they wanted the award split up. So when I talk to SFU, like in the terms of reference, I'm going to be writing like that 10 Indigenous students get one $1,000 award. And also just to clarify, in the briefing note, I also attached the draft award. That is not set in stone. That is still going to be implemented with all of the feedback that I got during consultations. I guess just talking about that, just being, I talked to SOCA and I talked to the membership in SOCA that were international students. I talked to the international student, a student in the International Student Advocates. I talked to Migrant Students United, and then for Indigenous students, I talked to FNMISA and I went to their meeting, which was really fun and really amazing. And then a lot of feedback that I got. So the main piece of feedback I got from FNMISA was to have like multiple awards and not just one award with the big $10,000 amount. And then other feedback was just having, so for example, like in the criteria was like, oh, make a statement as a cover letter. So instead of that, we're thinking of maybe opening up the option to like give in a video or like make an art piece, things like that. Also, like one of like the main ideas of this award is that it is a service award. So making sure to show that like the service that you've done in your community. But yeah, that's kind of like the gist of it. It's not everything, but as always, please ask questions. Yeah, I'm ready to answer anything. Let's talk about it. Hopefully we pass this.
Okay, thank you, Ishana. I am going to remind everyone, I'm not going to count this one because I didn't say it before, but I'm going to be keeping everyone to 2 lists and 2 minutes speaking time max. All right, Emilio, go ahead. Or also, no, sorry, Roscoe, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Ishana, for arranging this. I'm fully in support of this. Any award, any bursary scholarship that we give out as a student society is a great investment into our membership. I do just want to flag one quick thing to council, and it's a minor thing. It's about a budget line item to be determined by the VP Finance. I don't know how proper it is, but I will let it slide. I'm just going to update all of council at the next council meeting which budget line item I determined. Yeah, that's all I want to say, but I'm in full support of this. It's just best to always have the line items on the exact items on a motion, and I encourage everyone who has financial motions in general just to contact me. I'll give them the line item. So yeah, thank you. And yes, for reasons of transparency, I will update council which line item was determined to be in this motion.
Thank you, Roscoe. I concur. It's obviously we've kind of set a precedent the last couple of years where we just have line item to be determined by the VP Finance, but going forward, I think it's a good idea to make sure we have a line item there, or at least an indication of what line item we think it will be, just for something to be there. Next on the list, we have Emilio. Please go ahead.
Hi, I have a question I'd like to ask. Could we perhaps change the terms of reference to broaden the students who could apply without giving preference to certain groups on campus. There are a number of students that I've talked to. One is of the Ingla people who's studying Indigenous languages through their new Indigenous language program. I have another student in the Indigenous program here at SFU who's working with me on my honors project in history. They both don't feel represented because there's preference given to certain groups. Similarly with the international students, where we talked about how they have to work, how they have to, you know, overcome a lot of the costs and stuff associated with it. They're not necessarily going to be working with the three things mentioned in Shauna's terms of reference. So I don't know how we can go and kind of maybe make that small change, but in order to make it more equitable, I don't know what Shauna would like to say to this, but based on the WUSC one previous, where it was any organization for the refugee program and such, I was wondering if we could make this small change to be inclusive of FMESA, to be inclusive of the Indigenous Student Center, to be inclusive of the three international student groups, but also making sure that students who do work with other organizations are also adequately represented and get an equal crack at this, because the way that it's written right now is specifically to give preference to students who are affiliated with those groups rather than everybody. And especially for international students, every single one of us on council has international students who are really struggling right now. And a lot of the awards give preference, even though they can apply for them, to domestic students. And they only have, based on the conversations that I've had with financial aid, a certain number of entrance awards and stuff in the fall. You did hit it right on the mark with the Indigenous Students Award only being available in the fall, and I appreciate that. But I think that if we could just make this small change, we can actually do better for our students. So I'd like to know if you'd be open to that, Ashana, and I'd like to know council's thoughts on what I'm proposing. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilio. Ishana, do you have a direct response to that? Or if you want time to think about it, we can move on to someone else in the meantime. Shauna, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Emilio. Appreciate the question. So in terms of the award, I also did consultations. Folks that I spoke with didn't mind having the preference given to students. I do get where you're coming from here. However, I will have to talk to the groups that I consulted with and then see. Also, talking about this, it's best to have the groups that I put, it's best that it be the ones that are preferred work with the SFSS or equity seeking international student groups. And all of these groups are also recognized by SFU. Also, typically, we want to give the additional benefit to those who are helping the international student community, just because it is a service award and it's not just a bursary award. Another part is this can also be an incentive for international students joining these organizations. I was actually talking to a couple students, and they said that right now, a lot of international students aren't able to be in community and things like that. So we're hoping to also up community allyship, also within international students as well, also knowing that these groups are here and these groups are advocating and doing the work. And yeah, I think it'll be of benefit to folks to join these groups as well. So once again, I can bring it up to the groups. I did do consultations, folks seem to be okay with it, but I can always come back to this. I guess the draft that I have is subject to change. Right now, I think it'll stay as it is, but I will keep this in mind if that kind of answers your question.
Amelia, you have a direct response, go ahead.
I do. I hate to be that guy, but if it's not finalized and we don't have the line items for it, why are we trying to pass it today? I mean, shouldn't we have everything finalized and have everything put together before we go and put this enormous amount of money together in order to go and facilitate this? If you do have to go and talk to students and more groups and get feedback on it, then perhaps would a 2-week delay maybe help you? I mean, I'd be happy to push that forward if you want, but based on the students that I've talked to, you know, they might not have time to work with these groups, or they may be working, or there may be additional barriers that prevent them from working on it. So it just seems like we're going about this backwards and putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, and it doesn't sit right with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. So here's, I don't want to turn this into a direct response chain. So Ishana, I'm going to let you directly respond. I think Roscoe had a direct response as well. So Ishana, if you want to directly respond, and please just a reminder, if you're directly responding, please use the 2 stars rather than the list in the chat. So Ishana, you can directly respond. Oh, you don't want to? Do you want to directly respond or no?
I'll
No?
let Roscoe and Peter go.
Okay. Roscoe, Peter, if you want to directly respond, go ahead. But I want to make sure we're sticking to what the direct response means, which means you're asking a clarifying question or comment, please.
Yeah, so I just want to make a comment. I'm fine with the line items being this to be determined by VP Finance. I'll let that slide. I don't want council to take Emilio's note into consideration during this topic. As the VP Finance, I'm fine letting, like, I don't want to filibuster an award to like the student body for this. So I just want to say that I just, you know, and for future reference, always good to have the line item to like thought out, but please, it's not such a big deal right now.
Thank you, Roscoe. Alexandra, if it's okay, I'm just going to take Peter first as he had his double star in there first, if that's okay.
If Alexandra meant by the accent by the list earlier, that's fine. I don't mind.
Okay, whoever wants to go.
I just wanted to say that I agree that it's not a big deal, and I think that the longer we push it, the harder it's just going to be to really finalize it. And I also wanted to say that, as Ishana said, this is not meant to be a bursary, this is an award. And I agree with the statement that making it priority for those who are involved and support others in similar situations will also motivate students to get engaged. And overall, it is very beneficial to get engaged in these communities because I feel like there's a lot of giving to each other when students connect and they are in similar situations. So I think that would be even better to have it for particular groups, or like prioritize particular groups.
Thank you, Alexandra. Again, I'm going to give council a reminder, please, that if you're doing a direct response, it should be a direct response in terms of you're either asking a clarifying question or comment. So I'm going to be counting that as a list, as a heads up. Peter, please go ahead.
I think, yeah, going back to the original response, I think we have been consulted, the groups have been consulted. I'm just also kind of confused on Emilio's thing. He said the indigenous, if I'm not mistaken, was it the indigenous studies or languages, or like, I'm sorry, was it not groups that are inherently indigenous? Because like the whole big thing I'm kind of confused about is like, us within the indigenous community, we do consult with all of us. We're not a very exclusionary group. So we are, I'm just kind of confused as to like where, like, I'm guessing with me and the FN other indigenous members, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm trying to wonder like why we've never heard or anything. Like we don't, I've never heard this anything. And if we have, we'd always do make sure to include everybody and stuff. I'm just kind of, if you could just clarify who it was.
Thank you, Emilio. Ishani, you have a direct response?
Sorry.
No, okay. Thank you. Peter, go, or not Peter, Emilio, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to clarify with you, Peter, there's a student who's taking a history course right now that I'm in her class, and she's taking the Indigenous Languages minor. It's one of the new programs here. She is Indigenous. She's from the Inklakatma people. Those are the people that historically come from around the city of Merritt. She's taking that. She's done an enormous amount of work, working within education as well, going and prioritizing that. So her work would not be recognized because, for example, she's with SFU 350 right now and has done some stuff on climate action and things like that, and has not gone and be recognized because it gives priority only to First Nations, Métis and Inuit Student Union and the Indigenous Student Center. The second student I have is Métis. He's working with me on my project for my honors course, also an Indigenous student. He's also been involved with some protesting against TMX, and his on-campus stuff with research and cataloging Indigenous languages, which is obviously of service to the community, would not be able to go and give preference for the award, even though they're obviously adding added value to the community. So what I'm saying is, why is this not for all international students and all Indigenous students? why is it only prioritizing certain groups? And I just want to broaden it so that we can make sure that everybody from those marginalized groups can get taken care of. So thank you.
Thank you, Emilio. Next direct response we have is Ishana. And again, I think I'm going to cut off direct responses here. Again, we don't want to get into a direct response chain. Last one, please.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I just want to apply to that. Anyone can apply. It's just that there will be preference towards that because of service to your community, to the community within those organizations. But once again, anyone can apply, and everyone has the chance to submit their own statement and cover letter, and also having the chance to get a person to be a reference. So anyone can apply as long as you're like self-identifying in this way, or you're an international student. So we're not trying to exclude anyone here.
Thank you, Ishana. I'm going to go back to the list. We have Sienna, and then we have Alexandra. So Sienna, please go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I'm actually home now, so I can use my mic. I just wanted to comment because I am the counselor for the FNMISA, and we did have a meeting with Ishana at our last constituency meeting, and it went super great. I think Alexandra maybe have listed first, I guess. She's saying it off in the chat. She wants to go ahead before me. That's okay. She said that's fine. Go ahead. Okay. But yeah, we had a consultation with Ishana, and it was really great with the feedback. All of our constituency members, we represent all of the Indigenous students at SFU, and all of the people present at the meeting at least were very good with the wording of the report with the scholarship as it is right now. If there is Indigenous students who don't feel included in this, we invite them to attend one of our meetings. We are here to represent them, and if they want their voices heard, we are here to support. And as far as it goes for us as of right now, I do believe that the FNMISA doesn't necessarily hold any sort of, privilege in the scholarship above any other sort of community, but it is very much focused on service to community within SFU as of right now, as far as my understanding is. And at least with the FNMISA right now, we're still fully supporting Ishana, and communications are still reciprocal and continuing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sienna. Alexandra, you're up next.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that this is an amazing initiative. And I wanted to remind everybody that most of us were all immigrants, or our parents or our grandparents. And if we're not Indigenous, then we all got here somehow. And some of us might be more privileged and been born here. However, those who weren't, for example, I came here from Europe when I was after high school, and I had a citizenship, but I remember how difficult it was for me. So I can't even imagine how hard it is for international students who are trying to get the status, who are trying to, get healthcare, and they're just fighting cultural shock and all these other difficulties. So I think this is really an amazing initiative, and I think we should all support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Last on the list we have is Arthur.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, okay, this is something I'm gonna say strictly. It's not the word preference isn't. I don't think the word preference isn't guaranteed a preference at all. It's not giving it a preference over a certain group of people than others. It similarly works. From my understanding, it's similar work to, what do you call it? Job application. If you're applying for a job, you want to get people to apply for it based on their merit, not based on their group that they belong to. So what Ishana trying to do here, from what my understanding is, that she's trying to get them to get more involved with the community rather than including other people to apply. Which means that it doesn't mean that only a group of people can apply. Everybody can apply to it, but we have certain considerations to push people into applying for the award so that they can be considered and they can be pushed to the forefront and have more involvement with the community. So I don't know. It's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Arthur. I do want to be cognizant again of the times of both our esports folks and our ASK folks. Pardon my language again. I think I'm going to cut off discussion here. Yeah, so we're going to take this to a vote. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a raise hands vote because we have had dissent. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure if it'd just be faster to do a roll. I think I don't want to waste time with the roll call vote. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a raise hands vote. So here's how this is going to work. If you're unable to raise your hand for any reason, please feel free to unmute yourself and let us know or put it in the chat. But essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to call for all those in favor and then you use the raise hand function, all those against, and then those abstaining. If you don't raise your hand, it'll be assumed you're abstaining. So I'm going to call for all those in favor of this motion. Please use the raise hand function on Zoom.
I'm not sure if my raise hand feature is working, but I'm voting in favor.
Noted, Roscoe. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm same as Roscoe.
Noted, Ashley. Thank you. So archaeology and biology, I'll assume you're in favor. You please keep your hands up. That's 4 plus 2. I think I have 18 in favors. You guys can lower your hands now. Ishana, yes. You want to speak?
Could we do a roll call? Because like throughout
Okay.
that, I feel
Yeah,
like
no, you know what?
there's
Yeah. No, this is messy.
Sorry.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'll set it up.
Abby, do you want me to do it for you?
No, it's okay. I got it. Okay. So I have favor and abstain. All right. I'm going to call on you by your position. Please give us if you're in favor, against, or abstaining. We have archaeology.
In favor.
Thank you. We have Bachelor of Environment. We still have Tiana here. Bachelor of Environment. I'll come back. Behavioral neuroscience is not here. Biology, I believe, was voting in favor. Has that stayed the same? I'm going to assume yes. BPK?
In favor.
In favor. Biology is also confirmed in the chat. So thank you, biology and BPK. Cognitive science left. Computing science, I'm not sure if you're here. Crim is not here. Earth science. Earth science, how do you vote? I'm not seeing a vote, so we're going to come back to that if need be. Economics.
Abstain.
Economics abstains. Education.
Abstain.
Education abstains. Engineering is not here. Environmental science.
In favor.
Environmental science in favor. Film, gender studies, geography. Geography in favor. History.
Abstain.
History abstains. Health sciences.
In favor.
Health sciences in favor. Mechatronics, are you here? Nope.
Mechatronics.
Philosophy.
Philosophy will vote in favor.
Philosophy's in favor. Sus.
Abstain.
Sus abstains. SAS. in favor. Sasu.
In favor.
Sasu in favor. Software systems is not here. C's.
Abstain.
C's abstains and BCU votes in favor. Thank you very much. Moving on to contingency group representatives, DNA.
In favor.
Thank you. FN Misa.
In favor.
Thank you. And Soka. In favor. Thank you. And then we have affiliated student groups, RHA. In favor. And then TSSU. Do we still have Paranjali? We do not. All right, moving on to executive committee, I'll be abstaining. Acting VP Internal and Organizational Development.
In.
I think you said in favor. Would you mind confirming, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Acting VP Finance and Services.
In favor.
In favor. Acting VP University and Academic Affairs.
In favor.
Favor, thank you. And then we have the VP External and Community Affairs.
In favor.
In favor, thank you. And we have the VP Equity and Sustainability.
In favor.
In favor. And last but not least, we have the VP Events. In favor. So by a total of 20 in favor, 0 against, and 6 abstentions, this passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. And congratulations to whoever gets this in the future. Do you want to double check that, Ashley? I had 20, nothing, and 6. Well, yeah, 26 is enough for quorum, so we're definitely good. Ishana, go ahead.
I just want to thank council. Thank you so much. I will be providing updates to both council on what I'm working on with SFU to make sure, because all we really have to do is like make sure that the consultations are actually in the word. I'll send that to council as well, and then get the signs from Abby or Liam if it's him then, and then SFU, and then we should be good to go. But I will be keeping council updated. But now that the money's passed, we're pretty much good to go. And I'm hoping that the word is established by the end of like our term, like this fiscal year. So hopefully up in 2 months.
All right. Thank you, Ishana. And thank you, Ashley, for double checking that vote. All right. We are now on to the esports motions. The motion reads SFSS and SFU Esports Association Memorandum of Understanding. And the motion reads as follows. Well, I'm pushing the chat for accessibility. Pardon me. I do want to apologize to our esports and our archaeology students who are getting. I don't think these motions will be contentious, so we should be able to get to them very soon. Motion reads as follows. Whereas an agreement between the SFSS and SFU Esports Association regarding a gaming lounge in the Student Union building has been in the works since at least 2018, whereas the SFSS Directors and Council has been authorized to the signing of a previous memorandum of understanding. Sorry, I listed it. Whereas the SFSS has entered into a sponsorship agreement with Memory Express in regards to equipment in the gaming lounge. Oh my God, this thing keeps moving. Whereas the Memory Express agreement has started February 1st.
I can.
Sorry, I'm still reading the motion.
No, I can read it for you if you want.
No, it's okay. It's fine. It's almost done. Whereas the acting VP Finance and Services has been working with society staff and SFU Esports Association on the opening of this gaming lounge space in the sub 2400. Be it resolved that the council approved the signing of the new memorandum of understanding attached between the society and the SFU Esports Association. Be it further resolved that the council approve an opening of the gaming lounge effective immediately, that the communication department begin marketing the space. Roscoe, I will give you priority to speak on. Actually, sorry, we need to move her in a seconder. We got a mover, please.
I will move.
Roscoe moves, can you get a seconder?
Second.
Sus seconds. I'll let Roscoe have priority. I will give a warning that students don't have speaking priority in this space, but I'll let people know that with my list, I'll be suspending the rules to get rid of that. But Roscoe, you do have the opening word.
Hi all. So I'm glad this is finally on the agenda to be considered. So this has been a very long time coming. So for those of you unaware, we have a gaming lounge in like in the sub, and essentially even before the sub opened, there were a lot of talks had between the SFU Sports Association, which is a club, and us SFSS in regards to opening the space. And this was since 2018, at least. That's the first, record I can find of a lot of discussion. Anyways, over the past few years, there have been just talks. Motion was actually approved at council or board of directors. Like it's been discussed a lot of times, and there was actually an approval for an MOU. But the previous MOU had just a lot of bureaucratical related issues. And on top of that, it doesn't seem like previous executive team was really that involved in opening the space. So essentially stuff started picking up in 2022 when we signed an agreement with Memory Express to sponsor us to give us computers for the space. Those computers are now in that space, like all the equipment's there, and all that was now needed is to just draft a new MOU that has all the bureaucratic things figured out. I've worked a lot alongside with the facilities manager, John Walsh. He was a great help on this. We made sure that this was fair toward both parties, both the society and the SFU Esports Association. So here we are. I'm going to, attach that in the chat again, because I did attach it also before. Here we are signing this MOU. And essentially, it's going to let not just SFU Esports Association have the space, but every student, that wants to, play games in that space. We could also use it for other things like everything, Yeah, I'm just gonna, it's 10 seconds, so I'm just gonna let other people speak. I would strongly recommend council votes in favor of this. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you, Roscoe. I'm listed next. So I'm gonna very briefly say I'm in favor of this motion, and I don't think it'll be too controversial. So for the next two motions, I'm gonna move to suspend the rules so that students have the same speaking priority as that of counselors, just because I know we do have guests here. And given that this is not going to be a controversial motion, these two will not be controversial motions from what I can tell, I'm going to move the suspension of the rules for that. Can I get a seconder, please?
Philosophy.
Philosophy seconds. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we're going to take it to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. Now, that does change the order of our list. So next we have Emily.
Oh, thank you for changing the priority of that. We really appreciate that. So yeah, I'm Emily. I'd like to give a few thoughts on the motion to open the gaming lounge based on my experiences, both as an executive of SFU EA since 2020, and also as somebody who's been working on the gaming lounge being opened in the past few years. I'll definitely try to make this quick to respect the time of the Archaeology Student Society folks as well, but let me know if I go over time. So I know a lot of people feel as if SFU is sort of a commuter school, and the vast majority of students just go in for classes and leave once they're done. Maybe once a week they go in to join for a club activity or study for a few hours in the sub, but there aren't many regular opportunities for all students, inclusive of all faculties, to gather and have some leisure time on campus. In the past, we've had multiple open console events hosted alongside SFU, where we provide drop-in gaming hours for students from 10 to 6 for a week, and we see lots of students coming in, leaving for class and coming back to bring their friends. And we're also always seeing new connections being made where people exchange their contacts after a Mario Kart game, for example, and they come back together another day. It's really an amazing thing to see strangers bonding over gaming like that, especially at SFU. Thank you for the 1 minute warning. And thus, I feel like the gaming lounge would give this opportunity to all students regularly and serve as a great social hub for anyone really to play games with their friends like Mario Kart to just rest on campus between classes or just hang out. And we want to emphasize inclusivity and make sure that everyone feels welcome in the space and that the space is utilized effectively, as this has been something that SFU Esports has been working on and pushing for since 2018. And I'd like to give our deepest appreciation towards the building manager, John, as well as Roscoe, who have been relentlessly working on giving the students this wonderful space. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I'm with 15 seconds spare. All right, next on the list, I believe we have Ashley.
Hi, I just wanted to ask you a quick question, Roscoe. I happen to notice that in your motion, you specifically credit yourself for putting a lot of work. But in your little spiel, you mentioned that John put in a lot of work as well. And I was fairly certain that other executives also worked very closely on this project, such as our acting president. I was wondering why your motion doesn't reflect their labor as well.
Hi, I think I did most of the work on this project as well as the facilities manager. If you're going to amend this, I would say that we also put, the facilities manager on this, but I'm not sure if I was able to, mention staff by name in the motion. I also want to say that in the executive committee, just like this was basically my project that I took the lead. Maybe we could reword this that, I took the lead, or just remove that entirely if I guess people. But I do want to say that there's people out there that have been saying that they did the work, but they didn't really do it except for just, showing up at 1 or 2 meetings. So I know I've put in more than 20 hours and more into this. There was more than only 1 meeting. So there was a lot of meetings and exec were invited, and essentially I was the only one that was really pushing it. I do want to thank Abby for his support and being in favor on this. I also want to say that there are people who just tried to, in the executive committee, who just tried to stall this even more. So I think if you're going to credit people, it's going to be the people who actually pushed hard to get this running. Thank you.
Thank you, Roscoe. Next on the list, I have Jasper.
Hello. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to really point out how much work Roscoe has put into this. Of course, he's mentioned it before, but it is insane how much time and dedication he's put into this entire room, and for a good cause in general, because the thing with this lounge is that I see it as a parallel to the same gaming lounge that UBC has. And with UBC, it is a very big place for them to get together and, like what Emily said, make friends and hang out. Because I know at SFU, I don't know if this is still true or not, but I remember having a bit of a reputation as being a commuter school. And in order to, keep the student body engaged and happy on campus, this is just a very easy and positive way in order to do that. And I think that UBC, they have a lot of clubs as well that use that lounge. And I was actually there last month helping out with the a big event that we were doing with the UBC Esports Association. And that event was a massive success. So I only want to see that success repeated at SFU. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasper. We'll take any last lists on this. I am not seeing any, so I'm not seeing any dissent, so we're going to take this to a vote. We're going to seek unanimous consent on this. Seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. So congratulations, esports. Oh, sorry, Eric, you have your hand up.
Sorry, I misclicked.
Okay. Again, congrats, esports. Congrats to all the students who will enjoy the events esports puts on and the Gamers Lounge in total. So congrats, everyone. All right. Our next item is the archaeology motion, which I do not have. Roscoe, do you have access to that title and motion by chance?
Yes, I do. Just give me 1 moment. I'm just juggling a lot of tabs.
Thank you.
Oof.
Perfect, Damon. He's got it. Awesome. I'll read this out loud. The title is Archaeology Furnishing Motion, and the motion reads as follows. Whereas the Space Expansion Fund has roughly $500,000 in unspent funds and collects around $350,000 in student levies, whereas the Physics Student Association was granted to $12,700 Canadian last semester, whereas this fund is meant to be used to furnish student spaces around campus, whereas the Ask Common Room has not seen significant renovations in 35 years. Be it resolved that Council approves the spending of up to $12,700 Canadian for the basic furnishing expenses for the Archaeology Student Society for the Space Expansion Fund. Can we get a mover, please?
I will move.
Roscoe moves, I'll second. Roscoe, you can have speaking priority on this if you'd like.
Yes, so I'm going to speak highly in favor of this. So as VP Finance and Services and the Chair of Space Services Committee, I often get a lot of emails, and I have a lot of meetings with DSUs regarding your common room furnishings. And I think the state of some of these common rooms, they haven't had a new furniture in 20 or 30 years sometimes. And it's just sad for me to see that these student-centric spaces are being neglected. So, the ASS, they approached me, they wanted some updates to their space. And we basically, talked a bit in regards to what kind of things are possible. So I will be strongly speaking in favor on this, as it is the proper use of the Space Expansion Fund to help with student spaces on campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Roscoe. I'm next on the list. I'm also going to speak in favor of this motion. I think it's pretty famous that many DSUs over the last 5-10 years have lost their space on campus. So I'm very much in favor of furnishing the few spaces we do have left and making them as hospitable to students as possible. Damon, you're next on the list. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'll try to make it quick. I'll just kind of give an update on what this room looks like currently. So it is like a little office space we have in archaeology. It is no windows. It is actually constructed from a portion of it was a classroom like subspace that they put a wall in, and they're like, here's a space for you. So we've had this for at least a decade, I think, but well, we've had it for longer, but this space is the one that we've been using for the last decade. But all of our furnishings in this office, I don't know where they came from, and they look like old SFU like hallway chairs. So I have a feeling that a lot of our furnishings from this room were actually stolen at one point or another in our history. So it'd be nice to get this funding just to actually put in nice furniture. A lot of our furniture does have like tears and rips in it. So yeah, it'd be nice to get this money just to be able to make the room look a little bit better. The number that we've chosen is just based on precedent for the Physics Student Society motion. With that money, we'd be able to make sure we're buying furniture that's going to last decades, rather than like any furniture that, like, if we were to use our core funding, which is small because we're a smaller DSU, we would have to buy really low quality furniture that would probably fall apart pretty quick. So yeah, that number is both in precedent, but also so we can buy higher quality items that will last longer. It is a space that is used daily, not only by our execs, but also by our student body. We consistently have executives and their friends in there all the time. It's right beside one of our busiest classrooms. So on class breaks, it's pretty common for students to come in there. So it'd be nice to be able to give them a more comfortable space, because right now we have one couch that's falling apart and like weird metal benches and stools that we're using. So yeah, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Damon. Next on the list, I believe we have Ishana.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm fully in support of this motion. I think it's great. Hopefully we pass it, and hopefully this really creates like a new kind of vibe for the Archaeology Student Union, and I hope the best for y'all. It seems amazing.
Thank you, Ishana. I'm not seeing the list, so I'm going to take this to a vote. We're going to seek unanimous consent to this. Seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. Thank you to our folks from ASS. That's the last time I'll say that today. Sorry to keep you guys till this hour, but Hope you guys make a freaking nice common room, and I hope the students enjoy it. And again, you're also all welcome to stay or go as you please. So thanks for coming out. All right, I've realized I've made a bit of a mistake. I unfortunately did not follow the agenda. We had an in-camera item and I have totally missed it. So my apologies. We are going to go back to that. I just have to find it. Here it is. So it's an in-camera item titled. Oh, and I just DM'd that. That's great. Concerns regarding council, corporate invoices and event/merchandise partners. Again, given that is an item that has quorum, we should go back to that in the agenda. So my apologies. I'm going to move to go in camera for the remainder of the meeting. Can I get a seconder, please?
VP Finance.
VP Finance seconds. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, everyone, we are moving back ex camera. So I'm going to read the motion. Be it resolved to go ex camera. I'll move. Can I get a seconder, please?
VP Finance.
VP Finance seconds. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent of this. Seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, this passes. Okay, we're going back to new business. This first motion reads, I'll leave the title in the chat. Financial transparency and large invoice disclosure. And the motion reads as follows. Whereas council has affirmed support of a financial transparency motion in a previous session, whereas the financial transparency policy is still in development, whereas a situation has arisen regarding membership requesting more transparency in regards to large volume single vendor transactions, whereas council has reviewed the financial transparency concerns at camera, be it resolved, council approve a release of all invoices and check requisitions over $20,000 in value that were approved by council or its committees payable to single vendors from May 1st, 2022 onwards until a financial transparency policy is ratified at council. Be it further resolved that all disclosures remove personally identifiable information as defined by the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Be it further resolved that no payroll information is disclosed and that the disclosure is limited in scope only to transactions approved by council or its committee and linked to the motion that approved such spending. Be it further resolved that disclosures be made in PDF format uploaded onto a new section of the society website titled Large Volume Transactions Transparency Disclosures. Can we get a mover, please?
VP Finance.
VP Finance moves. I'll second that. Is there any discussion on this? And again, I will remind councilors, anything said in camera is to remain in camera. Seeing them, we'll take this to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent on this. Seeking unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. Just gonna move that up. So I just have a working document on the side here. Our next new business item is titled File Hosting Privileges. Just gonna put that in chat.
File hosting privacy change.
Sorry, file hosting privacy changes, pardon me. And so sorry, let me read that aloud again. It's file hosting privacy changes. Thank you, Roscoe, for that correction. The motion reads as follows. Whereas the society uses Google G Suite for the majority of society document sharing, whereas there are concerns regarding data privacy and security when using offshore groupware such as Google G Suite, be it resolved that council tasked the executive committee and excluded management on developing a migration path away from Google G Suite onto SFU locally hosted data storage solutions for sensitive information such as defined by the Freedom of Information and Protection Privacy Act. Can I get a mover?
VP Finance.
VP Finance, who's going to get a seconder, please? Can I get a second? History seconds. Roscoe, you are listed. Please go ahead.
Yes, so I'm going to speak a bit about this. So essentially, what we currently use for the majority of our information processing here at the SFSS is G Suite. Now, G Suite's great. I'd say like there's Google Drive, you know, the email looks all nice and fancy. There's all these features. But there is a concern in regards to the data, some specific data such as payroll information that we really shouldn't be having on the using G Suite for in its current form. The problem is like there's, you know, when council members or, you know, other staff or whatever, when they submit their payroll information, they send it through email and then that gets filed into a Google Suite folder. Now, Google Suite is hosted in the United States. It's not here in Canada. And doing so as a non-profit as closely affiliated with the university in regards to our membership is actually possibly a violation of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Now, I don't seek to eradicate the use of G Suite here, but I want to ensure that private information such as people's payrolls, SIN numbers, those kind of things are not stored on Google Suite and are instead stored on the local file hosting service we have here at the SFSS, which is managed by SFU, which is it's called a share to drive folder. And on your computer, if you, for staff and execs, they have access to this, they can log in using their SFU role account and they can access the information there. All that information in those folders that is stored here actually on campus. And it is made sure that this information cannot be accessed easily, like it can only be accessed here in person, or if there's a specialized VPN that is used by, you know, staff members that are working from home, those kind of things, to access the information. That information is also stored in a fully compliant data center that's fully compliant with the Canadian, British Columbian rules and regulations, and it's not stored abroad. Therefore, we're not causing a liability to the SFSS by storing private information. So I'm not trying to prevent anyone from using Google Docs or whatever, just all the private information, such as SIN numbers, people's names or whatever, should be stored here locally.
Thank you, Roscoe. Next, we have Emilio.
Hi, so I do IT work for a living. I know Capilano, I think 3-4 years ago, did the same thing where they're hosting their stuff here with TELUS for their data for the same reasons. It seems every year, if it's hosted in the United States, which most G Suite stuff in North America is, the United States is going and pushing another law to give them an excuse to access private information. I don't know where ours is being held. I don't know what options Rasco is looking at, whether it's Office 365, like, or Active Directory and using things like that. But I think one of the limitations that we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys don't have a dedicated IT guy to kind of manage the problems and things like that if you decide to host it internally. And that's part of the reason, at least, why historically we've gone for G Suite. So I fully support this, and I think that we should go and take it out of G Suite. And I prefer, even if we could just move the G Suite data to a local data center with TELUS or someone else, like Capilano did, and then we could still use G Suite and it'd be a minimum of turnover, but I don't know what that looks like. I just want to make sure that we're minimizing stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Roscoe, a direct response?
I have a direct response in regards to both dedicated IT person and the whole moving to G Suite to locally. So first off, all of our internal IT is handled by SFU. We have a contract with them. All the computers, they're managed by SFU IT. Second, in regards to G Suite, we could totally, if we can work out a deal with SFU IT or somewhere even locally like TELUS or Shaw or whatever, we can also migrate G Suite to be on a fully local server as well. Pricing wise, that is, price. Yeah, and Abby also says we do have a facilities manager, John. He's really knowledgeable in this area. is pricing wise, we'll have to look into it, but we could possibly even be saving money if we go with SFU IT, either on their hosted Exchange or Active Directory solution, or even maybe G Suite hosted locally at SFU, because that isn't technically option that some organizations do here in Canada. Then we could do that. I do know that a lot of people find convenience in G Suite, so I don't want, get rid of it. We could try to figure out a way to do it here in Canada locally, or we can try to use it for things, like motions and writing, policies, but not for, say, storing people's payroll information. As for what Arthur says, this has nothing really to do with DSUs. DSUs already use most of them. If they have an SFSS provide email, it's already hosted at SFU because it's at sfu.ca.
Thank you, Roscoe. I believe next on the list we have Ishana.
Thanks, Abby. Yeah, I just had a couple questions. I'm wondering if we could possibly look into the research of it first. And then also I'm wondering if within the motion itself, we could say that this is for payroll and payroll only. So in the future, we know that it's for payroll. And then I'm just not sure about since we don't know who we're actually going with to store this is what I'm kind of confused about, or if maybe a briefing note could have been presented so we could have had more information on it. But any direct response, please. Thank you.
Sorry, Roscoe, I'm first. Just a quick direct response. I'm sure Roscoe will clarify more of the position and all that, but I just wanted to clarify one thing you said, Ishana. This is not going to be used for payroll. Specifically, that was mentioned. It's not going to be used for payroll. So anything that would divulge employees' personal information is not going to be the purpose of this. And yes, so no. Hold on. Nope, you're right. Never mind. Sorry.
Can I speak? You just missed.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I retract my list.
Okay, so payroll is just one example, but there's other potentially identifiable personal information that if you just host it as it is, it's violating people's privacy and the privacy laws here. Payroll is a big one because if you do process a lot of payroll forms in G Suite, but there's also things like if people have complaints or food bank, for our food voucher program, if people are applying through that and it's stored in G Suite, that is also violating students' information. What I can say is that for a clubs portal, for example, that is hosted here locally in Canada, the Go SFSS portal. Therefore, there is no issue at all. We just basically what this motion is just to explore. It's not binding us fully for much change, but just to make it on the record that the executive committee and the excluded management should explore ways on how to get things here in Canada, preferably at a SFU IT, which we already have a contract with for management of a lot of our systems here. Yeah, I hope that clarifies more.
Thank you, Roscoe. Okay, I'm going to be cutting off direct responses after Alexandra, so I'm not going to be accepting any further direct responses after Alexandra. We're going to be sticking to the list. So Emilio, go ahead.
Okay, from my IT background, totally in support of this. I don't know what our exposure is. Thank you for bringing it forward, Roscoe. I just want to be a little hesitant here. If we're going to split systems between having what is deemed as private based on what the exposure report is from whomever you're getting it from, and then continue to run G Suite, splitting up the systems and creating that hybrid stuff is going to greatly create problems in my experience with doing things and managing your IT solution. It would be significantly easier if we could just move G Suite, which we currently use, and host it locally. That would be my recommendation to you, because otherwise you're going to run into a whole bunch of other problems if that's manageable. If we are switching to something else, then go and switch everything to that solution and figure out how we can do that. Do not use more than one solution if possible. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Emilio. And then last for direct responses, we have Alexandra, then we'll go back to the list.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't know how I feel about SFU like locally hosted. I don't know what you mean by that, but I just wanted to say that wouldn't that be like, could there be some potential like conflict of interest if we would like merge with SFU? Sorry, I just want to clarify that.
Thank you, Alexandra. I know I said no more direct responses, but I think that's directly a question. So if someone has the answer to that question, I will allow one more. Roscoe, go ahead. Please only answer the question.
Yeah, so there is no like really conflict. We already use SFU IT, and SFU has information on every SFU student already. That's the thing, right? So it's best what a lot of organizations do, they want to minimize how much information is spread alongside different companies. And if SFU already has our information, right? We're all SFU students, they have our grades, they have everything, right? It's best to just keep that information there intact. Also, SFU would be both privacy law based and technologically forbidden from, say, reading our emails, because there is end-to-end encryption in those kind of solutions that are standard. Like, so if your concern is something about SFU, we already, they already have all of our information. Yeah.
Thank you, Roscoe. All right, we're going to go to the list. Alexandra, do you also have a list? Did you want to keep that list?
And no, it's okay. Thank you. I'll retract.
Thank you. Ashley, you're next on the list.
Thank you. Yeah, I just have a couple kind of concerns here. I mean, for starters, this motion was amended onto the agenda at 4:40, and there was kind of no warning or preamble or briefing note or anything. I feel like we're working with minimal information with minimal time to process that information. There seems to be a lot of questions here. And also the motion itself seems to be implicating that we would like to move all of our stuff to SFU servers. However, there seems to be some concern about whether or not we should do that, or we should go to TELUS, or what exactly we should do if we wanted to start a working group or something like that to explore the possibility. That feels like a different motion than what was presented here. And as such, I'm actually going to move to postpone this motion until next council meeting.
I will second that. Is there any discussion on postponement? Roscoe, go ahead.
Sure, I'll be in full support of that, and we can get a briefing note and get more clarity on council. I just want to say that council should be aware that it is not good IT practice. What we're doing currently is storing a lot of private information outside of, locally based.
Thank you, Roscoe. Yes, like enlist right after me. I want to say, Roscoe, I agree with you. And I think if you want help on that briefing note, I'm happy to help. You have a lot more IT knowledge than I do, but if there's anything I can do to like edit it or anything like that, that's fine. I can help with that. Ella, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to give my 2 cents. Just to add to what Roscoe and Abby have been saying, we've been getting some requests in from membership the last little bit in regards to their PIPA rights and in regards to the removal of like specific information. So I'm not speaking in favor or against this motion at all, but I really do want to emphasize that this is needed. And in the case of process where these requests do come up, it would be significantly easier to do that when it's local than really anything else.
I don't want to do too many direct responses, but Roscoe, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with Ella. So a lot of the local, Canadian solutions are going to have built-in compliance for FIPA, FOIPA, and all the other regulations. It's a more point-and-click scenario for all those like data governance related requests. Instead of having staff even locally have to make sure we do a lot of like manual removals and things like that. So yeah, agree with that.
Thank you, Roscoe. Seeing the speakers list is exhausted and seeing everyone's on the same page, I'm going to take this to a vote and seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent to postponing this item to the old business section of next council meeting, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. All right, we have a couple items left. New business item here titled Society Credit Card Limit. And yes, congrats, Ashley, you have indeed ruled this, Robert. society credit card limit increase. And the motion reads as follows. Whereas the society maintains its own credit card at Scotiabank in order to make internal purchases, whereas the current credit card limit of the card is set to $25,000, whereas the SFSS credit card has seen high utilization in recent months and recently exceeded its credit limit, whereas the credit card limit has been reached or exceeded, the card may not be used anymore until the balance has been paid off, whereas the credit card balance takes several days to be paid off, preventing more charges from taking place, whereas the society finance staff have recommended the credit limit be increased to $50,000 in order to keep up with demand, whereas council can approve motions related to credit card limit increases. Be it resolved that council approves a credit card limit increase for the society credit card at Scotiabank for $50,000. I'll move. Can we get a seconder, please?
VP Finance.
VP Finance seconds. Roscoe, as the submitter of the motion, you can have priority.
Yeah. So basically, recently the credit card, the society credit card, has seen a lot of limit. Its limit has been reached a lot of times recently. So what finance staff recommended is that bring a motion to council just to increase the credit card limit, because there's a lot of events related purchases, furniture related purchases, those kind of things. This card is mostly used internally by staff, but sometimes also by the DSUs and constituency groups, all the student groups. So you just have to make sure that the card has a higher limit, and so that we can make sure we can process all these payments quickly and effectively. Because even when we unblock the card from the limit, it takes 5 business days or so for that limit to be cleared.
Thank you, Roscoe. I'm going to list myself. I'm also going to speak in favor of this motion. And quite frankly, it's almost every single month that I was VP Finance that there was some complaint that the credit card limit was too low. And quite frankly, I agree. We're a big organization with $12 million of value, or $12 million valuation, or whatever it is. I think we can put $50K on our credit card. And thank you for that, Ella. I concur with what she's put in the chat. I'm not seeing any other lists. So I'm going to take this to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent of this. Seeking unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. All right, thank you, everybody. As I say, from the past VP Finance, and I'm sure the current VP Finance, and the many VP Finances in the future, thank you very much. All right, we have a couple of motions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move to postpone all committee elections until, actually, no, you know what? We'll see if we get there in time. I'm not going to do that yet. If we get there in time, then maybe we can still do them. Our next item is amendments from VIBOV. VIBOV, do you have the title for your motion again? I wasn't able to get that.
Just give me one.
Okay, thanks. I have the motion here. I'll put it in chat. While we wait for that title motion, I'm just going to read the motion out loud. It reads, whereas we have calculated the expected revenue, or sorry, the expected amount of revenue from ticket sales from the Holy event, but due to the nature of event ticketing, we will not receive the funds in hand until the day of the event. Sorry, it's called Holy Additional Budget. But due to the nature of the event ticketing, we will not receive funds in hand until the day of the event. Whereas in order to secure necessary services from vendors, e.g. fencing, portable washrooms, hand wash stations, color purchasing, staging, and sound system, we must make advance payments, whereas the current budget of $12,500 for the Holy event does not account for this timing issue, and that there is a risk that we may not be able to secure the necessary services if we are unable to make advance payments. Whereas by increasing the budget for this event, we can ensure that we have the necessary funds in advance to pay vendors and secure their services, making the event more successful and enjoyable for attendees. Be it resolved to approve an additional $12,500 from the events committee budget line item 81720. Oh, we also, so let me get a mover and seconder, and then we're gonna get to what's in the chat at the moment. Can we get V moves, can we get a seconder?
VP Equity.
VP Equity seconds. I believe we've had a request for quorum count. Yes, Ashley, would that, can I consider that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick quorum count. Which it might be easier to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I count 23, which I believe is quorum. Let me just count again just to be safe. Now I counted 22. Okay, one last time. Okay, I got 23. Tiana is a counselor, yes. Okay, 23. We're still okay, so we can't lose anyone else. We'll try and keep things up quick. All right. I've read out that motion. We got a mover and seconder. Is there any discussion on this? Roscoe, go ahead.
Hi, so as the current VP finds, I'm very wary of this exceeding budgets on events, especially since there were problems before in regards to this event, and I think for this event, if you're going to be increasing the budget, I think whole council should basically get a spreadsheet shown in front of them or other evidence in regards to why this increase is needed. I mean, why can't we just have more sponsors or rely on ticket sales? I personally am all in favor of this event, but I don't think it's been financially managed for properly from day one. We had numerous issues with a previous vendor that turned out to cause a lot of trouble for us. So I think it would be best to get a breakdown of why do we need, and even now if we're going with another vendor, there's been also issues with that vendor as well. So I just want to know, why are we spending more money? And I do want to say I 100% want this event to come through. It just needs to be managed properly in terms of funds.
Thank you, Roscoe. B, go ahead.
So I would like to speak on it. Basically, we are not just asking for budget just to cover our, any amounts of ticket. Basically, ticket sales will cover it all. Once we already are at basically 500 tickets sold, and we have 10 days to go. It's picking up. Once we reach the threshold, I'm pretty sure we don't even need any budget from the events committee budget after if we meet the threshold. If not, we don't need the entire budget. We just need to make the prepayments, and prepayments fencing, we already have made it. Every basically contract was presented to the execs already, and VP Finance knows about it as well, right? That we have made payments for fencing. The company that we are hiring right now is looking forward to a prepayment, some percentage, and then we have to pay some part to the best, that is the cleaning company, right? So all those payments need to be made. It's just not that this is to cover up the losses from the event. It's just we need to make the prepayments, and once we are gonna be done with the event, we'll get the payment from the ticketing platform, and then we'll just put that in the budget back.
Thank you, V. Is there any discussion on this? Roscoe, go ahead.
To my knowledge,
Sorry, before you begin, it is clarifying question. So please clarifying comment or question to Bees. If it's a new thought, please just list.
Yeah, it's a new thought I'm gonna remove. Also, it seems like people are having an argument in the chat.
Okay, yes, please. I think Ashley put it in the chat. If we're gonna have an argument, please keep that to the DMs. We are trying to keep the chat free so we can see lists. So please keep it to that. Thank you. Roscoe, you can also go ahead.
So to my knowledge, we did already sign, we already did pay the cleaning company. I also am, I'm not comfortable with, giving, another $12,000. Sorry, we paid the fencing company, I'm sorry, but $12,000, I think we should lower that. If you could tell whole council what is outstanding in regards to what needs to be paid and the amount of tickets you've already sold, then I'm sure we can arrange something here.
Thank you, Roscoe. Ashley, do you want to go ahead?
Hey, yeah, I just want to speak in favor of postponing this motion. I think it's highly problematic that we didn't see some kind of briefing note or some kind of financing, some kind of explanation as to why we need to double the amount of expenditure spent on this event. Again, I think this will be a really cool event and I'm really excited to see come to fruition. But yeah, more transparency with counselors and students on the money that we're spending, because this is a lot, especially to be amended onto council. Yes, there was some pre-warning given, but with big money motions without a briefing note, it would be nice if they were put into the job form ahead of time and to put on a council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. V, you have a direct response. Who are you directly responding to?
Resco first, and I'll talk a little bit about Ashley's comment as well.
Just keep those separate direct responses, please.
Sure. So for the expenditures, we need to make, I guess, 40% to the production company that we are hiring, that's doing the staging and everything. And that's roughly like around $8,000. We have just passed $1,205,000 so far. And then we need to pay a little bit of the cleaning company. It's roughly around $1,000. And then we have colors to purchase, which we will be selling during the event. Those colors are roughly $4,000. So rest of the payments we'll make after the event. I can send you the invoices as well, Ashley. Basically, we have sold roughly 400 something tickets. I am not really exactly sure about the number, but it's $9,000 already in the revenue. I can share it with you guys right now. I just don't have my computer right now, but I can share the screenshot in the chat. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, it's 414 tickets, and the net sales that we have already done is 8,359 and 20 cents. So $8,300.59, $59.20 in sales already, and 414 tickets, and we are already promoting it like to the max. We just figured out like so many things in the last week, and now it's like we are promoting it to the best. We are reaching out other universities to help us out with the event to bring us more sales. And if we can just reach the threshold of the tickets that we have in our mind, that is like 2,000 tickets, we will be ending up like break even or even making profit. And we did make profit in our last event, that the Valentine's event we hosted. So that's going again in the events budget as well. And for the entire year, I mean, we have sorry, it's a little bit background noise. For the entire year, we have made sure like we have saved money from every bit. We have tried to bring things from our own houses, right? Like I have tried to bring cylinder, for the pancake breakfast, I got the cylinders from my own house, whatever I had. So we had made sure we spent the money really wisely the entire year, not like for just one event, but for all the events, the Halloween event, right? We spent so wisely on that. We just bought things from we brought things from our homes, right? Like those big miniatures, right? We saved money from every single possible way. And in this event too, I'm pretty sure we're gonna do really well. The same was with Diwali event. We literally like ended up almost like break even for that event, and we kept tickets really nominal, including the food and everything. So I just need the budget to just make the prepayments, and I can send the invoices to you guys like right now. The fencing invoice, the contract with the company, and then the code that the best gave. Like best is the company affiliated with SFU right now. And the color packets are on Amazon. You guys can just check it out. We need to order like 4,000 packets, and the packet is roughly like 90 cents each, so it's almost like $4,000 as well. So we need to buy those.
Okay, thank you, V. I have Rasco, then I have Sindhu.
So thank you, Wabba, for clarification, but I still have concerns, and also in regards to just this being treated as a. So you're saying you're going to, make it back money, but if that's the case, we should be treating this as on that additional account, not as just the regular expenditure council passes. Because if this is expenditure, then the check recs are written, the payment goes to the vendors, and then it's not anything like how do I say it? It's a reimbursement motion. It's not a let's open up an account just for this and then treat it as negative balance until the payment is brought in by ticket sales into full. So I don't think even the proper accounting procedure is being followed here.
Thank you, Roscoe. Sindhu, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say something very similar to Roscoe. So I just think for full accountability, we should be treating this motion as an ask for the 12,500, not as a reimbursement that's going to be coming back from the ticket sales. For large events, we really shouldn't be doing that because we can't anticipate what that's going to look like. So we should be treating this just as the ask.
Noted. Thank you, Sindhu. In the chat, Ashley puts, I'm glad you're spending wisely, but council needs to more than your word to be sent before council. Please send a budget, etc. in advance. This is a big ask with a briefing note. Okay. Oh, no big ask, sorry. Alexandra has asked in the chat, is there anything you can cut out of the budget instead of asking for more money? V, are you able to directly respond to that? What?
Yeah, so there's like not much we can cut out from the budget because we have just found out the best of the deals. Literally, we have bargained with the fencing company. They were charging us 11,000. I brought them to 5,900. By bargaining like a lot, we kind of like reached out to like several companies, and we have found the best of the quotes. And we have also made sure, right, like the companies are reputable. So for example, the fencing company is Super Safe, which is really popular. The staging company is Aftershock, which is one of the oldest companies in the industry when it comes to like events like these. And the colors as well, we have made sure like we have tested it with all the SFU people that are gonna be cleaning and like be taking care of the facilities. So we have just found the best of the deals. I'm not sure like if we can cut any of the expenses. Like we have always like already the best of the deals though.
Thank you, V. Is there any other? I'm not really sure where council wants to go with this. I don't know if council wants to postpone this. I don't know if council just wants to vote on this. If council wants to amend the amount. I'm kind of lacking direction here, so I'm seeking clarity from council where we want to go for this. I see I want to vote. V, go ahead.
I don't mind reducing the amount, like if we can even do like 10,000, because we will be just at least able to pay the company that we are hiring. So like everything is now in place right now. Other than that, like if you want like proofs, if we can have a special meeting next week just for this motion, I can present all the basically expenditures, financials, and the invoices and everything with it next meeting.
Okay, I'm not opposed to that. Roscoe, you have your direct response.
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to having a special meeting in regards to this, as it might be time sensitive. I do just have concerns of us trying to figure out an amount in this meeting right now, because how are we going to calculate which exact amount is needed on such a short, short period of time? You can't just be pulling random numbers out of the hat, so to speak, right? So, I would appreciate that this motion gets postponed, or it gets what would the other term be? We just remove it, or the amount, and then we consider a new amount at the special council meeting.
I'm going to list myself, and I think here's what I'm thinking, and I'm gonna kind of go loosely with Robert's rules here and allow people to respond to me, but keep it here. We still have a couple of committee elections, and we still have a discussion item on here. What I propose is we take what's left of our agenda and put it as a special council meeting next week. Nothing can be amended on. The only thing that can be amended is the motion itself. So we take the motion as is, but then we have Vaibhav present the invoices and a briefing note or whatever it is that council wants to see, a budget, and then council can amend that motion as needed. Okay, Shanna still wants to talk about the one discussion item. So we can take the wholly motion, we can take the committee elections, and we can take our reports. And then we'll just keep the discussion item as it is. We still have 10 minutes left. How does council feel about this? So just to summarize, what I'm proposing is that we have a special council meeting next week. Of our remaining agenda, minus Ishana's discussion item. And then, so today, all we'll have left is the two discussion items from Ishana. Everything else will get transferred over, plus the reports that we didn't do will get transferred over to next week's meeting. Is there anyone against that? I've seen Peter and Ashley are in favor of the idea. If people aren't cool with the amount, we can also amend that next meeting. We'll still have question and answer period, Amelia, so we don't worry about that. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to move to have a special council meeting next week with the following items. We're going to have reports from executive and CCBC report. We're going to have this holy motion. We're going to have OCEO elections, first year engagement elections, and accessibility elections. And that's it.
I will second.
So I'll move that. Roscoe seconds. Oh, sorry, to clarify, the other item we'll keep the ratification of Gasu stepping down as well, because I think that will take literally 10 seconds. So Roscoe seconds that. Is there any discussion on this? This will obviously replace the dev session we're supposed to have next week. So apologies if anyone was looking forward to it. I don't remember what it was, to be honest, but yeah. Seeing none, we're going to take this to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Oh no, it was supposed to be a lobbying workshop. Oh, I'm sorry, Shauna. Sorry, that was loud. I hope it wasn't too loud for the thing. Seeing none, it passes. Okay, so if people need to leave, that's okay now. We don't need quorum for the rest of this. Oh, wait, no, wait. We need one more motion. Then you guys can leave. Our last motion is ratification of resignation. Now I can't find it. That's spectacular. Anyways, the title, I'm just going to, it's a ratification of resignation is the title. And it reads as follows. Be resolved to ratify the resignation of Gasu Councillor Emilio da Silva. And I apologize for the time it's taking. I just cannot find my copy pasted motion. I'll move that. Can I get a seconder, please?
History.
History seconds. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'm going to take this to a vote. Seeking unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. Okay, we are on to discussion items. Where'd it go? Oh, it might just be Ishana's one then, but she amended on today. Food security programs. Ishana, please take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, this is another call out for volunteers. The first breakfast program happened and it was a hit. Yay! Over 100 students or something came by. I think around like 100 students. So hopefully we're gonna up the communications this time. We're gonna get more volunteers. That's why I'm here and I'm like, hey, if you can help out on March 1st, 2023, I'll put the date in the chat. We'll need help from 9:30 a.m. to around like 12:30 p.m. So you can let me know if I'm wrong here with the timing. But it's not like too much labor. Literally like all the tables and chairs are, thank you, Sindhu, till 11:30 a.m. But it's not like a lot of labor, like physically, I guess. It's mostly just like tables and chairs are set up. All you really have to do is help bring the food out and then kind of just oversee what's happening. I don't know, Sindhu, if you want to add to this, but it's pretty chill. And also like come by, grab a free breakfast. Oh, Chloe says it was super fun, so that's amazing. Second update, yay! We will have Munchie Mondays on next Monday. So if you want to help out during that too, it's normally like an exec type of thing. But if you want to help out, I had some counselors reach out and like you're more than welcome to come and help. It's basically you're just like sitting there handing out food and then you're kind of explaining like what you're working on. I know that the last Munchie Mondays I kind of it was students just coming by and like taking food and we just kind of talked about just like how school's going, things like that. So not too much needed for this. But yeah, Munchie Mondays is next Monday. I'll send an email with all these dates. If you can help out, please let me know. We would love to see you there, have you there, grab a snack while you're at it. It's pretty fun. All of us kind of just crack jokes the whole time. So it's chill. Yeah, Abby's nodding along. Yeah, I guess those are like all the updates we have right now. If anyone wants to like add on, I think that's it. But yeah, also if Sindhu, you have anything to add on. But I think I covered most of it. Yeah, thanks all.
Thank you, Ishana. I think Rasko's listed, and then after that, Sindhu, if you want to add anything on, you can feel free as well.
Yeah, thank you, Ishana, very much for updating everyone and for your good, your and I think Abby's initiative on this. I want to update council on something on my part. It is regarding Quest Food Exchange. So I believe this was beginning of January. I spoke a bit about this. Anyways, throughout the past few weeks, I've been having meetings with their staff. And then this week, I actually had meetings with their executive director. And we talked a lot in depth in regards to how to, refer students to this. And for those who don't know, Quest Food Exchange is a nonprofit grocery store. Their items are priced much lower than regular grocery stores. It's fully nonprofit. How their whole model works is that they purchase food that is still, it's not expired or anything. It's just that distributors, they make a lot of food and sometimes they can't find grocery stores to purchase more. So then they sell it to Quest at a massive discount. And Quest is supported by both donations and government funding. And they're able to sell a lot of nutritional items. Like they have everything, even milk and meat products and all, like everything, right? They're able to sell it at a much lower rate. Anyway, so I was looking into how we can, since there is a referral that is needed in order to utilize the services. And I know that both the AMS and the Grad Student Society here, and as well as I think the BCIT Student Association currently has referral programs, how we can implement it. After I spoke to a few of their staff and the executive director, they told me that, it's not that big of a process. We just have to figure out with our own staff how we're going to handle this, which is what I'm taking the lead on right now. And it's not going to require any financial contributions on our part. So this is a service that students get, at no cost of the SFSS, apart from just the just some light admin work that we have to figure out who in the staff to task with. So yeah, I'll update more at the next regular council meeting, not the special one.
Thank you, Roscoe. Cindy, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I was just going to speak more on the other food security programs, but thank you, Roscoe, for looking into that. I know Ishana is also looking into a few of the other pieces. So thank you. As Ishana mentioned, please help out if you can for the breakfast program. Peter, Sangyang, and Chloe helped out last time, and looks like they had a lot of fun there. The students seem pretty grateful, and if you can let students know that Munchie Mondays and the breakfast program are free, that would be great. There were some folks who weren't sure about that, so yes, and you get a free snack if you volunteer. So please come help us, and it'll be a lot of fun. So thank you, Ishana, for taking the lead on those on the breakfast program and for Munchie Mondays.
Thank you, Sindhu, and go ahead, Ishana.
Oh yes, I forgot one update. So we may have a free fridge coming back to the sub. So exciting. Yeah, so right now myself, Ella, and Sindhu are working on that. And what we're thinking here, if we get the fridge in the sub, what we will do is we literally have a whole plan. So if we have like extra food from the breakfast program, we may just like put that straight into the community fridge. And you know what? If you missed the time slot for the breakfast program, you can go straight to the community fridge. So looks great. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. Hopefully we get a real move on that and get a fridge in like pretty soon. I'll keep updating council, but we got 3 food security initiatives going on basically. So I think it's going amazing.
Thank you, Shauna. I believe Emilio, you're next on the list.
Yeah, I mentioned this when you guys brought up food security last time. Has there been any movement on looking at our food voucher and SFSS food bank program and increasing the amount that is given out to each student who applies? I do have students in my constituency who are they have deficiency issues and they're allergic to certain foods, so they have to buy certain things. And while they applaud, going to quests and things and all that, they don't often have what they need. One student, for instance, who's allergic to seafood. So I was just wondering if anybody had looked into that or not, or if there's any work going on. That's something that I'd like to pursue because it puts money actually in the student hands for them to get what they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilio. Roscoe, the direct response. Actually, sorry, but Roscoe, I'm going to cut you off for a second. I'm going to list myself. I'm going to move to extend this meeting to 8:45 p.m. Can I get a seconder, please?
History.
History seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to take this to a vote. Seeing none as consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. Roscoe, go ahead with your response.
Yeah, thank you for that, Abby, for extending. And thank you for your concern, Emilio, that this has been looked into. I did speak to staff about this. Current situation is that SFU does give us some money to cover this as well. They give, I believe, 50% of this, and that is it's an issue that we have to figure out. If SFU currently doesn't want to extend it, how we will, because the original agreement is 50-50. So I can certainly update council next regularly scheduled session in regards to this, as there might be workarounds, but this has been actively looked into, at least by me. I did speak to member services coordinators regarding this.
Thank you, Roscoe. I am not seeing any other discussion in the chat, so I'm going to give it just a couple seconds if anyone else has anything they want to say on this. I'm not seeing anything, so thank you for bringing this discussion item, Ishana. Again, I concur with the request. If you have time, please come help out with Munchie Mondays, the breakfast program. The help is much appreciated. I believe that brings us to question period. I knew we had a bunch of students in here before, so I want to do question period just in case any of them are still here or any concerts of questions. So I'm going to cut it in half. We're just going to go till adjournment for question period. So we'll stop at 8:45. All right, Emilio, you're listed. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Can you go and update me? Like, has there been a change in our policies for non-exec reports? Because I haven't received an email about that for January. I just checked my email. Do you know, like, have we stopped doing them? Has there been anything about that? I haven't seen any email that we changed our policy. Do you know what's going on with it, Abby?
Roscoe, direct response, always directly respond as well, because the question was addressed to me.
Right.
I'm not aware of any policy changes. Roscoe, you can go ahead.
So there wasn't any policy change, but I want to say publicly out here. So I've had concerns in regards to how council, those non-exec council reports are handled, because most of council does actually not reach the 20 hour so-called requirement. And instead, I can see 5 to 10 hours, and then people also listing unrelated items. So I did ask the president in regards to if we want to stop with this process, and the president advised me that I could just not send out the report. So that's what it was, a verbal conversation. It wasn't anything that's policy related. But thank you for bringing this up. I would like to have more of council's thoughts on this, because I will say that most of council, like most of councilors do not meet the 20-hour requirement. And those that do, a lot of them are just listing unrelated non-SFSS things on there. And I really don't want to, I don't want to be finding anyone, right? So, because as long as you show up to meetings, that is great.
Emilio, you have a direct response, and then I have a direct response.
Okay, just for clarification, are we doing them for January still, or are we not? Are we going to be penalized because they haven't been done? I know you said you don't want to fine people, but there hasn't been an email that's gone out, and there hasn't really been an email that's kind of let us know what you just said. So that's kind of where the concern is coming from, because it's been crickets, right? So can you just let us know if we're doing them going forward, or for January, or are we skipping the month, or what's going on? Thank you.
Thank you, Emilio. Sorry, Hillary, it looks like you wanted to direct respond. You can go ahead. Okay, I want to clarify my comments a little bit. Roscoe, I want to clarify that I was in favor of you not fining people. I want to be clear in that I would have liked to abolish work reports in some form or fashion, but I made no direct order to stop doing so. Roscoe, you have a direct response, or Hillary, I don't know if you're finished typing, or if not, Roscoe, you can go ahead.
So, yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I guess we have to figure out what we're going to do on this, but I will say I will not be finding anyone for the January work report. So I will send out a work report link for this, for this month, for February. But in regards to January, in my capacity as VP Finance Services, I won't be finding anyone if they don't have their work report in. I will talk to other exec in regards to maybe it will be required, but we will just extend the deadline so that there's no need to rush on that. I do want to say something about the accountability, is that I fully agree, but what is happening is that most of council, even though most of council is not meeting those hours, so what should we do in regards to that as well? Or should we, I don't know, reduce the stipend, or keep it as is, or change a different kind of reporting mechanism? Because the way I see it, most people are not meeting their hours. And I'm not sure, I need some guidance in regards to how this is going to be handled.
Thank you, Roscoe. Hillary, are you done with your typing your direct response yet? Are you ready? I'll give you a second. Okay, so Hillary types, okay, yeah, I find it's really difficult to meet the 20 hours. I think maybe just people are just making sure people show up to meetings is enough for their pay rather than adding unrelated stuff, or what we start allowing unrelated things into our work report. Like I'm a CUJCS EIC and I put in a lot of work for it, and the same for Mark. I think it would be fair for us if we got paid for some of the work. Sorry, undergraduate, oh, editor-in-chief. I see. And just to clarify on this a bit, any work that counselors do with their DSUs as counselors does count towards your hours. So if you're doing something unrelated, that doesn't count, but you can put in stuff related to council work that you do within your DSU. Like if you hold an event and you're there as a said counselor, then you can count that towards your council hours. All right, is there any other discussion on this? Oh, Ashley's listed, sorry. For Arthur, hold on, sorry, I've lost my list here. Ashley, do you know who's next?
No, sorry, I don't. I believe Arthur had a direct response, and I know I listed and Ashana just listed, but unfortunately I wasn't keeping track.
Okay, I think we'll go Arthur, you, Ishana, and then if anyone I've missed, please let me know in the chat. And then Eden after that. Arthur, you're trying to say something we couldn't hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I do want to wait for confirmation. Okay, basically, I wanted to add, follow up with the concern is that I also noticed that like for the January work report, there wasn't a link set up for us to upload our work report. Now I understand that Vasco, you were concerned about people not meeting the 20-hour minimum for the requirement. However, I do find it strange that the job form link wouldn't stand out. So I'm wondering if you were going to send one out for the February term, or is it something that like we can just kind of, because I remember I sent my January work report to you, but I didn't get confirmation whether you have it or not. So just wanted to have a confirmation whether we're going to have a job form link or we have to email it to you for our February work report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ross, do you have a direct response?
Yeah, so thank you for that. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to tonight send out the actual job form. It's going to be for January. I'm going to also reiterate that for February it will be required, but no one will be. So no one will be penalized for delays of January. I'm going to clarify that in the email. So you're going to keep the status quo as it is right now until on some committee like governance or whichever committee should be tasked with this investigates these concerns. No, well, you can email me, don't worry about it. I'm going to put out the jot form. I also want to say that the jot form, if it says 2022, that is fine. That's just something I just have to ask admin staff to edit because I don't have permission for that. I do know that was another concern, but as long as the month itself is correct, uploaded, that is fine. Also, the jot form is the same every month. Thank you.
Thank you, Roscoe. I think Ashley, you have the next list.
Yes, I do. I just first off wanted to mention that if counselors, to maybe amplify what Peter said in chat, if counselors are worried about meeting their 20 hours, I would like to remind you that any work you do to support the SFSS within your capacity as a counselor counts on your work reports. Secondly, I want to reiterate that Roscoe, it is, I believe, up to your discretion whether or not you find people to a certain extent. However, it is within your capacities as the acting VP Finance to ensure that that call for executive work reports goes out. The fact that this conversation is being held because a counselor, a non-executive counselor, asked a question as distinct from you bringing it to council, I find highly concerning as the chair of oversight. It feels crucial to me that a decision of this magnitude should have at least been brought to council as a discussion item, should have been a motion. There should have been some, democratic process here, as opposed to you just unilaterally deciding to not ask for work reports. Fine us or not fine us, but in the future, please go through council before making a decision such as this to just simply neglect your duties in this respect. Thank you.
All right, next we have Ishana.
Yeah, I just wanted to first of all bring up, I think work reports, I do get it takes a lot of time, but I think it's really great for students to see what we're doing. Second of all, I know it's really like rough to think of like, oh, what do I do as a counselor? If folks want to like work on things and like up their hours too, if you have capacity, please feel free to like come by. I have like a ton of things that we could do. Like for example, like there are like little things I do for like the breakfast program or like Munchie Mondays. You can put all of that in your work report. Even if it's like, I'm just talking about my portfolio in itself, I'm sure the other execs would be more than happy to help like guide doing work and things. If you want help with like motions or projects, we're here to like help if you like need to like get your hours too as well. I'm more than happy to like hand out some tests. Yeah, also agree with Ashley. I feel like this should have gone through like a formal email or something, especially since students do look through our work reports and they pay fees to the society and we are accountable to them because we are getting paid with their fees. So just reiterating that. But once again, please feel free to reach out if y'all want to do some work together. More than happy to.
Sorry, I'm muted. Eden, you're next on the list. Let me know if you want me to read out loud if you're typing something. Oh, sorry, Roscoe to DR. Eden, if you want to type it out in the meantime. Roscoe, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Ashley. So I'm going to correct this. I'll send an email out, and I will also be reaching out directly to you regarding concerns. I also want to say that I was never really, and I think most execs were never really properly onboarded. I like even Abby himself. Like this role, you get into this role, and I don't think our onboarding process for execs are at all proper, and I'm not blaming anyone, just the whole system it is. So during my term, most of my work that was occurring December, January was putting out fires that were just there, like stuff that were wrong with the system. I can say that we had a scholarship that was going to expire 2 days, 2 days after I was appointed vice president of finance, that I had to figure out how to make sure the signature is renewed and all that, because no one got to it. And that's not really like anyone's individual fault, but the whole system as a society, we're very disorganized with our file handling as well as onboarding new executives.
All right, I'm going to cut off the list with whatever's there now. That means no more lists or responses after Ashley's direct response. So looking at what we have left, we have Roscoe's direct response, and then we have, which has happened, then we have Peter, then we have Ashley, and then whatever lists are left. So Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, just do that. I understand like there's a difficulty with us being onboarded late. However, I think like it just feels kind of odd is because the important part is to acknowledge that there are, like you said, like you're trying to go for like, you're trying to say that there is the importance of us making sure that we do our jobs and that sometimes they'll slip through. But I just feel like this was not approached properly, where you're bringing up the kind of the threat of fines on students. And then there's also the issue where we're not getting reports. There's issues where some of us are not completing reports, even, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's kind of an odd way to start this, is where it's, there is a difficulty with the job, yes, but I feel like that we have to hold ourselves to the same standards if we're trying to reach out and do this to others, right?
Thank you, Peter. Ashley, a direct response, and then last we'll have Ishana.
Yeah, I just want to directly respond to what Roscoe said in regards to him blaming this failure on onboarding, et cetera, you put out the call for December work reports just fine, and then did not do so for January. If it was truly the case that this was a failing on onboarding or a failing because you were really busy upon immediately getting into the position, surely December wouldn't have gone out and January would have. That just feels like a blatant flaw in your logic there, and I find it disrespectful that you think you can slip that by us.
And last we have Shauna.
Yeah, my last point was going to be the same thing that Ashley was going to point out about onboarding. We can't really put the blame on onboarding when we're kind of like, I know some of us are acting, but it's been a couple months that we're doing this. So I think it's just like stepping up into our roles and doing what we have to do, and just, you know, doing the work that we have to do. And as I said before, counselors, please feel free to like reach out if y'all want to do some good work. I got some cool projects coming up. Yeah, always want to bring it up, bring it back to student advocacy, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help students, and you know what, bringing it back there. Yes.
Thank you, Ishana. We've exhausted our speaking time. It's 8:48, so I think we have to move to adjournment. I'm going to move to adjourn this meeting at 8:48 p.m. I'll move. Can I get a seconder, please?
No, VP internal, ignore that.
I heard Ashley.
I'll take philosophy on this one. Is there any discussion on this?
I have a question.
On adjournment?
Well, I did want to ask another question before we adjourned. I don't know if I can or not.
Unfortunately, no, we've run out of time.
Okay, then I'll ask for it next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. I'm going to seek unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, please use the raise hand function on Zoom and I'll call on you for your vote. Seeing none, that passes. All right. Thank you, everybody.